Hello everyone. Welcome to a new podcast we've been doing on our FTCR called Sonic Says, and this is kind of anyone who listened to our recent Skype Sanctuary episode where we talked about the main Archie universe and the universe spin-off. I named that terribly, but this is going to be a podcast about just the Archie books in general.
I thought you said I named that therapy.
I wish I did name that therapy. Who's that therapy? I guess we don't really have an established formula for this yet, but I guess one thing we could possibly start is, even though we did this before in the previous one, maybe we could just all quickly introduce how we got into this comic book franchise, I guess. And I guess we should also say who we are. So, Bobby, good to see you. If you want to go first.
Alright, well, I'm Bobby. My screen name.
Thank you for that.
Bobby, who are you? I'm just Bobby.
My screen name is the Anti-Guardian. And as far as how I got into the comic book, I found it at a grocery store back when I was
when they sold comic books at grocery stores.
Yes, when they actually sold comic books. When I was like in 6th grade and just picked it up because it had Shadow and Metal Sonic in it, and for no other reason.
You found that issue.
Fanboy.
Yes, it was issue 149, and then I just got hooked on it, and I've read it every month for the past almost 10 years.
How good is it?
Yes.
Yes.
It's awesome.
Yeah. I'm Jonathan. I've been reading it since...
Jonathan!
I've been reading it since I was a wee little stick of a thing. Now I've grown into a big, strong man. And I love me some blue hedgehog tails.
Oh, heaven to Murgatroyd!
Heaven to bits and heaven to Murgatroyd. But yeah, I've been reading it since somewhere in the 60s. You know, the 1960s.
Yeah.
Where they had all that Beatles music.
I remember the Sonic at Woodstock issue. It was a good issue. Yeah. Just gets high on chili dog and just like listens to music.
And then Tails is like, "My Sonic, a junkie!" Slap.
My hero is a junkie.
Sonic comes back a couple more issues. Is like, "You slap me, I slap you." That's what happened in Green Lantern Green Arrow. Green Arrow slaps Speedy, and then he comes back a couple more issues and Speedy slaps Green Arrow, and it's like, yeah, that was fulfilling.
I want a parody of like, Sonic, what are you getting your parents to Christmas? My parents are robots.
My parents are written out of continuity.
I have no parents now. Neither does anyone else, unless they're for Cream. Because she's the only one of an established mother in the games.
Well, and that's only game characters. I mean, Rotor's got douchebag dad.
Well, basically, any game character who has no game parents is not allowed to have comic family.
Yeah.
Well, Eggman has a grandfather, but...
Well, that was in the
games, though.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Snively's no longer his nephew now, is he?
No, he's not even a Robotnik. He's a...
Julian Snively.
Yeah, he's a Snively.
He's got badass goatee. But yeah, so, how did you get into the books? Around the issue 60s?
In the 60s. I feel like I've been reading it forever. Like, I don't remember anything before.
I wish I could quit you.
I wish I could quit you. I'm just crying and rolling in a pile of Sonic comics.
Just cursing Pandas!
Pandas! It hurts so good! What? I don't know. And finding, like, issue 5. And I'm like, why don't I have this? This is mine now. And my dad's like, oh, okay, you can keep it. I'm like, why did you have it in the first place? I don't know.
I like Sonic the Hedgehog. You, Dad! I learned it from watching you!
Oh, yeah, I always had a Genesis. And,
I had a Mega Drive.
I can't say what I want to say to you. Just feel it.
Yeah. It's what they call it in Japan, so shove it.
No,
Did you know that in England and Japan, the first book of the Bible was actually called the Mega Drive?
You say that every day.
I do. It's the one original joke I've ever come up with, so I like to beat it like a dead horse.
I've heard that before. Oh, it's on Twitter.
I tweeted that. I was I have one joke. Shut up. Leave me alone.
You were like crafting it for years. Like you were like
I was
writing
like
equations.
Moses. I'd go into the forest to craft it. I came down like Moses with a stone tablet. In England and Japan, The first book of the Bible is called the Mega Drive, and like one person was like, "You suck," and I went home and cried.
I can't follow this guy. I don't want to go wander in the desert for years.
That would suck.
I'm going with this other Moses who calls it Genesis.
My name is Gareth, and I'm an alcoholic. No,
I'm a Sonic-holic.
I'm a Sonic-holic. I didn't grow up with Archie. I grew up with STC. That's the book I grew up with, and my.
Did you suck?
Whoa!
Wow!
Whoa!
I don't like I might bend the rules a little bit, but I'm not a jerk like Bobby. Look at him.
I know, right? Like what?
I can't help it.
You can't.
You rubbed off on me.
Don't say that.
Yeah, I remember my earliest experiences were going into some English comic book stores and seeing like random issues of. This was probably during the Penders era. I'd just be like, "It's a Sonic book," and I think they'd be like, "I have no idea what's going on. Who any of these characters are?" There's Sonic, and there's like 10 pages of non-Sonic characters, and I'm like, "Yay!"
I reread some of the Knuckles, and I was like, I don't remember Knuckles being such a non-entity in this book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that was just Ken Pender's glorified fan fiction under the Knuckles name brand.
Well, it's not even fan fiction. It's like, I want to write what I want to write. I have to incorporate Knuckles somehow.
It's okay. One day I'll just make my own book and call him a Guardian and just give him a goatee.
Praetorian.
Praetorian
or
or
something. Practicer.
Praetorian.
They gave him a goatee, so it's legally fine. It's not Knuckles.
Yeah.
So that's how that works. But yeah, and then I really started getting into the book around the time of Worlds Collide. No, tell a lie. When I moved to America, I started collecting the trades of stuff. But I started getting it monthly around the time of Worlds Collide, and I've been a good, solid fan ever since. And so now that you're caught up roughly to speed, where basically the two gentlemen with me know a hell of a lot more than I do. And pretty much anything pre-Worlds Collide that hasn't been put in a trade, I don't jack dick about. So yeah. But I think one of the things we could maybe start doing per, and again, this is a new format. We'll probably take a few episodes to get the kinks out. But one thing we could probably start talking about is new news for the Archie series. And of course, the biggest news that just was released that a few days ago, which I shouldn't have been a big surprise really to anyone. But Archie has just announced a comic adaptation of Sonic Boom, not unlike their Sonic X book, to be a ongoing thing.
I think the bigger surprise was there's going to be 4 covers for issue 1.
5 if you include the regular.
Yeah, there's
wait. So there's
5.
a four variants and then 1 regular.
There's a standard by Spaz.
Spax? I love Spax.
With Spax 3. Griffith! There's one by Spaz.
That looks amazing.
Which is really cool. And then there's a, like the Countdown to Chaos.
Yeah.
Right? It's like that, but for 1 issue.
And it's by Evan Stanley.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So they're kind of really milking it with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the Worlds Collide one was freaking awesome, and I like the Boom one too. But I don't know if I want that every
They won't do it for every issue just because it's the first one.
No, I mean I don't think I want that to be like a huge reoccurring thing. Like every 10 issues we'll have like
I wouldn't want
covers.
275, a milestone issue, getting 5 different covers.
No,
just one variant's enough.
Well, now they do a variant for every issue. So
Right.
maybe because they might do like a third one. But yeah, I think that they did the same thing when IDW brought out their Ninja Turtles. Their issue 1 had one standard issue, and then 4 variants featuring each of the turtles.
that makes sense.
I'm
There's 4 turtles.
Well, to be fair, in Boom, there's 4 main characters.
So yeah, one has Tails and Sticks.
One has Knuckles
and Amy.
One has Eggman.
And
One
Burnbot.
has Burnbot, and one has Sonic.
on
Which
the last one.
for first I get it for a first issue to help drum up more sales.
Yeah.
But I think first issue, it's really the only way you can get away with 5 covers for one book.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the lenticular covers, guys.
Actually, maybe we're still doing that. But yeah, I think one of the things that maybe I knew they were going to do something with Boom, but I was expecting a universe arc.
Yeah.
Rather than a separate series.
Well, and my thing is too, you can order a 2-year subscription already, so they
They-
already
2 years.
Yeah, they already have it planned.
They always do that
out.
though. I mean, it may not last that long, but they always offer that
Oh,
option.
okay. Yeah, I was just surprised. I didn't expect it to be Sonic Universe, but I thought it'd be like Sonic X, where they would do like a mini series or kind of test out how well it sold.
Did Sonic X start as a mini?
Yeah, they started 4
Really?
issues, and then it sold well enough that then it went on to be
Because
ongoing.
I collected that from the first issue, and I don't remember it being a mini series. I didn't read it. I don't think. I think I got it, but never read it because
I've done that.
X.
I've done that with Batman Eternity. I stopped buying it eventually because
You're getting Eternal.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. It was new. It was Batman. It was Scott Snyder.
No.
I have like 10 issues. I haven't read a single one yet. So I've stopped buying it because I haven't read the bloody thing.
Yeah,
so.
Eternal.
It's pretty
Well, I
bad.
haven't read any of it, but
But people online say it sucks.
no. But the preview books, they did okay, we're gonna set aside this issue of Batman and do a preview of Batman Eternal, and it was really boring and really I didn't care at all, and it's like I don't think it's gonna be that great.
I have
don't
to
know.
sit down and read it at some point. That's what I need to do.
Wait until they have like an omnibus of it.
Maybe.
That's what
Well,
they're
I should
gonna
read
do.
the issues I have of it already. But yeah, so Boom's going to be an ongoing thing, written by Ian Flynn, which he confirmed. There was because what happened was that which sometimes I think these companies should plan a bit more ahead. It was they updated their website. Actually, updated their website with Boom,
Right.
which is
before
how
the news.
our friend Chris found it and was posting it online. And we're like, what the hell? But then later that day, they released an official statement through IGN with an interview with Ian and I believe the
Paul Kaminsky.
Paul Kaminsky, the editor.
Yeah, and so it's I think it's been confirmed that at least for the first arc of Boom, it's going to be Ian's going to be the main writer, and he's confirmed he's going to be keep writing the main universe, and Boom.
Well, I know his wife, Aaliyah Baker, is also starting to write.
She's
the
doing
backup,
the-
She's doing some
backup
backups.
story
Yeah.
is written by her, too.
Yeah. And then I believe Evan Stanley is going to be the main artist for Boom,
Yes,
That's
the
cool.
main penciler.
which is she's because she's been in the main book for a while. So I wonder who they're going to and Tracy's had Universe is Tracy's book, Tracy
Yeah.
Yardy's book, and so I wonder who they're going to promote to main. I wish he hadn't retired.
Probably
I wish-
Jennifer Hernandez.
I wish he
I hope
hadn't
so.
retired because I'd be like Ben Bates.
I know.
Ben Bates, man.
I
'Cause
I hope that now he's in animation, we'll get to see his style, like how his because he's got a particular style. It's very I feel it's very 3D
I
and
think it's very
kinetic.
cartoony,
And,
yeah.
and I hope that translates into a cartoon.
Like
coming out
I
soon.
love like his because he did the last arc of the last first of Worlds Collide, and that's some of the best art I've ever seen in a comic
He has
book.
a really good sense of like motion and
Yes.
how the comic pages flow.
'Cause-
Like the 2-page spread of him fighting Quickman.
Sonic and Quick, man. I was
I
gonna say
mean,
that's like
that was brilliant.
that's just
what he did.
because there's certain other books like it's happened a few times with Ninja Turtles where there'll be like a 2-page spread, and it's just not laid out amazingly clear, but what's going on.
Right.
But like the way Ben laid it out in that when Sonic keeps attacking all the robots and the Quickman's trying to get him. It's so amazingly laid out. It's just like fantastic. I'm fangasming again. Just thinking I want that as a poster.
Yes.
Just with like you may be quick man, but you're not fast. Like oh damn snap! Your mama's so fat. Your mama's so slow, quick man.
It's funny that Evan Stanley is going to be drawing Sonic Boom because they started that Fan Art Fridays.
Was that hers?
Yes,
that
was
was hers.
yeah.
Yes,
Because
it-
somebody actually took her artwork and claimed it was theirs,
For-
and
for-
Sega featured it.
For anyone
and
who doesn't know,
apologized.
Sega recently started a Fan Art Friday, which they're going to promote one piece of fan art, and as Bobby said, the first piece. Because I believe Evan Stanley just put that up on her
DeviantArt.
which I get because they have to plan these books in advance. So that was probably her like, oh, this is just fan art.
Oh, well, it's just like Ben Bates. Whenever he very first got the job, he has some pieces of artwork of like Eggman and the Sonic characters that he was doing while getting ready to jump onto the Sonic.
Well, and it was really cool because he did like a top 5. These are my top 5 characters that I love from this book, and he did like a Julie Sue. And Robotnik Prime and
Now they're
who's
all
that?
dead.
Who's the girl and the guy?
Hope.
Chameleon.
Valdez
and
Lisa.
yes, yeah. He did. He.
I have no idea what they are.
I can't even remember them.
But-
They're such.
It was weird because like her fan art of that was one of the first because that was before I think that was when the first renders of the room redesigns came out, and they've
Yes.
not they look okay, but they're not, because the main renders have been slightly, at least this is for the cartoon, not so much the game.
Yeah.
So if you look at like current promotional images for Boom, they're slightly tweaked from the original. Like Knuckles looks a lot better now than
It
it did
doesn't
with
look
those first renders.
as
Unproportional.
unproportional as it
But
did
like
in the
whenever because that was pretty soon after the thing was announced, like her fan art, and it looked really good. The first time I was like, these designs look good, like
Right.
really good. So I'm happy she's on the book.
Yeah, her art style really fits with Boom.
Boom.
The proportions.
I liked her on the main book,
oh yeah,
but
she's
like
great
she
artist.
probably wouldn't be in my top 3 of like Archie artists.
I
Right.
think
for the main
I
story.
think her strengths are the personality she gives to her characters.
Mm.
Like, there's a certain quirkiness in their facial expressions that I think really, especially worked in that little fan art doodle she did.
Okay. So as far as the pencilers, they have Tracy on Universe.
Mm-hmm.
They have Evan Stanley on Boom.
Boom.
So then there's obviously Jamal Peppers, who occasionally does like a Universe arc.
He did.
And he occasionally does.
He's
the
doing
main
Mega Man,
series.
right? Or he does Mega Man every
he's
once in a
doing
while.
Mega
now.
Man
Yeah.
right now.
Well, he did because he recently did Shadowfall, and
Yes.
I'd say the best thing about Shadowfall was the art.
Yeah, he really excels.
I really like his art.
I don't like it as much. I think it's because I hate Sonic X, and his Tails looks like directly pulled from Sonic
I could
X,
see
and that
that.
really makes me mad for some reason.
His strongest point in his drawings is when he does like more mechanical.
Yeah.
Like that's why he really fit with Shadowfall and Scramble.
Well, the
Because
robots.
he did a really good job with Metal Sonic, Omega, even like the Black Arms and that kind of like almost more realistic, hard.
I thought his
hard
shadow
line
was pretty
style.
good.
Oh, yeah.
his
I
shadow
will
was-
say the best part of that book for me was like the end of part 3 where Shadow and like Black Death
Yeah.
something are like starting to go down, and that like second to last page is like the best thing in that whole arc for me, where they're just facing each other down like, I'll attack you, no, I'll attack you, and they're just like, it's like a classic coming at each other thing. Yeah.
That was cool. But yeah, and so another feature we're gonna do, this podcast is gonna be a monthly podcast. Once all the books have been released in a month, we will get together and review them. And why is that funny?
We'll get together, you know, we'll chat, we'll
Well, you know,
I don't know,
do our
braid
best.
each other's
Braid each
hair,
other's
sit on the beds, with our slippers.
With our Sonic slippers.
Sonic
Yeah,
slippers.
there you go.
Which
I want Sonic slippers.
I have Sonic
I had
slippers.
some, but they got too. No, I have Mario ones. I'm a disgrace. I'm sorry.
I had Freudian slippers, and the cats peed on them.
Did you make a lot of Freudian slips?
But they're awesome little slippers. They're shaped like Sigmund Freud's head, and you stick your toes in them, and they become the tongue of Sigmund Freud, so you can make them go up and down, like, really grossly.
Why would you buy that for?
I didn't buy it. I got it for free, and I was like, this is the best present I've ever had.
But but yeah. So far we are 3 issues in to 2 different arcs. We have Waves of Change in the main book. We have Great Chaos Caper in Universe, and just recently released 2 paperbacks, which I think we us 3, well me especially, have been waiting a while for.
Everyone's been waiting a while. It's been like, I believe Sonic Saga series was supposed to come out in November of
Maybe
last year,
Yeah.
and Silver I think was supposed to come out in January.
February, I think.
Yeah,
when
it was
this
originally-
yeah.
it
So
might have been
recently,
February.
Sonic Saga Collection came out. Number 5, Evil Reborn, originally titled Enerjack Reborn. Title change.
Oh, I didn't even realize that.
You didn't
In-
know that?
In
No,
some,
I
in-
didn't-
No,
I
yeah.
didn't
In some,
click.
if you get like Sonic Saga 4, and look at the back page, it's like coming soon. Number 5, Enerjack Reborn.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That
And
makes
then
sense.
Sonic Universe 7, the Silver Saga. We'll get to those as well. But if we start, I guess, with the main series.
Yeah.
Waves of Change, because we haven't done. Again. Normally we would just do 1 issue, but because we're 3/4 into an arc, let's just quickly go over both of these arcs.
Okay.
Okay, so
Okay.
Waves of Change, it's leading into the big Unleashed adaptation.
But to be fair, the last story has been, like, the whole reboot has been leading into Unleashed.
Unleashed,
Yes.
which this one has been when the Chase had parts of it where
Mhm.
that's when you had Sonic first ingest the I guess the top.
No, it was even
that was
before.
Countdown
That was
to
before.
Chaos.
That was in
Yeah.
Countdown.
Man,
That was in the
that was a while ago.
second part of Countdown
when
to
he
Chaos.
very first got to see Antoine.
And Uncle Chuck.
Chuck. No, not Uncle Chuck. Just
Chuck. No,
They call him Uncle Chuck.
Everyone
He's not
calls him.
his uncle. He's uncle to many now.
Oh, that's right.
I am uncle to many. I am very
I am
creepy
uncle
now.
to all.
A lot creepier than I used to be.
Suck your blood. Rah. But yeah, so we've been leading to the big Unleashed thing, which the current story arc is Sonic, Amy, and Rota have ventured underwater to a
To Meropet.
Marrow. I like it. Like I
to
can't.
Hydro City underwater.
Hydro City.
Hydro City.
Yeah.
There we go. Because I you know what? I can't even remember the reason why they're down there.
They got Professor Pickle, rescued him from
Love
Eggman, even
Professor
though
Pickle.
Eggman has the Gaia manuscripts now and has the information that he needed.
Mm-hmm.
So they got from the professor that they need to find the 7 temples of Gaia to restore the planet. And then there's supposedly a temple of Gaia around that beach area when they get summoned by Razor.
To be honest,
Part
you
one.
know where it is, because it's. I mean, they're in a temple the whole time, and
Oh, yeah.
you're sure that that's gonna be the Gaia temple. Well, they
Oh,
haven't
yeah.
seen one yet, so.
Yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying it. I've read a few people online aren't enjoying it because they're like, why are we
Really?
being? Also, the thing is, I've read the same criticism from a few people about the reboot was that part of me kind of agrees with this, but like they're bringing in too many new characters, showing us too many new things instead of just showing us like like the current stuff that like the current characters, like we don't know where certain people are. Like at this point, I guess it's like we don't know where. I guess in universe we do. Like we don't know what happened to like Knuckles because Sonic hasn't met up yet with Knuckles or Shadow.
Well,
and
at this
stuff.
point, you kind of assume that he has the same backstory as the video games, and that there's not.
It hasn't
there's
been
not.
confirmed yet.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
Someone said that to because someone said this on Twitter to Ian. It was like, I don't like that we're doing all this, underwater stuff. We should be, expand. You should be like showing off the world. And Ian was like, I am. Like so much has changed that we're showing you how different the world is now.
Well, and my thing is I liked. I mean, Countdown to Chaos I love, but it was like a constant reminder that the old continuity was gone for
Yeah, that
every
was
month.
The
It was like.
It was like 3 pages.
Frustrating
It was like a quarter of each issue.
Yeah,
It's just them like, here's a new Freedom Fighter. Let's just say it again.
I remember.
I mean,
and it's
it
like
needed
I
to
don't
happen.
care. We've done this with Antoine, Bunny, and Rotor, and then Sally.
It was
It's like,
like-
and then the next issue is like, you better not do it. You did it. You did it. You did it.
Well, for me, it's like all I care about is let's see how Sonic and Tails react.
Yeah.
And then everyone
Yeah.
else, I'm like, okay, that's fine.
See, and to me, it was like depressing. Like, oh, I'm not going to see that part of the comic in there anymore. Or
Well, they had to
not
do
that
it.
it was a bad. Yeah, they had to do it. It wasn't a bad
Well,
thing.
it's weird. They could have gone 2 ways about it. They could have gone the way they went, where they show where the characters know something has changed, or they could have treated it like a straight reboot and just not mentioned it at all.
I
Which
mean,
originally that was planned by Ian, wasn't it?
I'm not sure. I personally,
I heard that somewhere.
might have preferred that.
yeah, no. I think it was Paul Kaminsky was like, well, we gotta appease
You got to
people
keep
who are gonna be.
something.
We gotta appease people.
Which I
somehow
can
because people are
understand
going to
that.
get mad. But I mean, I think I might have appreciated it for the first time they did it, but then I just got annoyed and was like, stop bringing it up. I want to get involved in this new universe.
Because the thing is, they handled it the best in the first one, where I think it's in the first. I think maybe Sonic when there's the backstory where they had like Satya Robotnik and
Yeah.
an original King Acorn, and there's like classic
Oh,
Eggman.
yeah.
And
When he sees Acorn for the first
and I'm like, that. I think to me that was the best way of showing the differences. And
well, I also liked when he just falls from the sky or whatever. The first page where he comes in and he's like, well, everything's kind of different now. And then he goes up to Tails and is like, wait, what about this? And he's like, what are you talking about? Like, I kind of like that. That was fun for an issue.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't think I needed 4 more issues of that.
Yeah, but I'm getting back to waves of change. I mean, I'm liking it. It's I like it's kind of
I know, I do know.
It's good. It's weird because it's like I'm enjoying it, but like I wouldn't this isn't an arc, right? But like you have to read this. You have to read Waves of Change.
No, it's not.
It's just good fun.
For something called Waves of Change,
not much
it's
has
not
changed.
very. Yeah, it's
nothing's changing really at all. Like just there's one thing happened in the last issue where it only lasts for like 2 panels. But Sonic and Rota got into like an argument.
That was.
I like that. That was a really nice little character moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, apart
Because they're not just all agreeable with each other; they actually do disagree. At times.
If that was what the change was, like, okay, Rotor's got this more abrasive personality than he used to, and you had to deal with that for a couple issues, and that was kind of the arc.
Yeah,
that would have really worked.
You see, the thing I liked about that because like neither of them were like. You couldn't say one of them was like wrong because the thing was like the planet is kind of like in Unleashed, the planet since the second Genesis where coming back from Worlds Collide, the world's now been split into different parts like Unleashed.
And basically all the energy from the wave went into
Shattered
Dark Gaia, who then shattered the world.
And
does this mean this is a Super Genesis Dark Gaia? Are you confirming that, Bob?
Yes, I am confirming.
And so they're on their way to kind of put the plan back together, and so there's a bit where like they run into some characters and they're kind of in some trouble. And Rota's things, which again, like I like it because like a case could be made that either one's correct. But Rota's thing is like, like this is sad, but like the whole world's at stake. We can't put that plan on hold.
He's the big picture guy.
To save 2 people.
Right.
And Sonic's like, I'm sorry, like when did we stop caring about people, you jerk? You know?
Sonic takes the Superman route where it's like we gotta focus on everyone, Which I gotta go help this cat, I gotta help this little girl. Batman's like, no, Clark, calm down. We gotta.
I like that because they do that in Sonic and the Black Knight.
Yeah.
There's a section where like Sonic's given a task where he has to complete this thing in like 3 days, and he's on his way to finish it, and he sees this little like crying child. He's like, I can't find my parents. He's like, I'll find your parents, kid. Don't worry about it. And like the sword's like, no, you idiot. We gotta go save the world.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, well, I'm gonna go get these kids' parents. So
I like that a lot.
Ian is just stealing from Black Knight. Waves of Change is terrible. No, I'm joking. It's good. And the other thing is, it's weird because now they market it as Waves of Change. It's only like 3/4 of the book is taken up for that. The rest of it it's a backstory called called
Shadow in the Dark or Light in the Dark.
I should know this. Let me go flick through my book.
I think it's Light in the Dark.
Yeah, the Light in the Dark.
Light in the Dark.
And it's a kind of little spin-off story written by Ian Flynn's wife.
Yeah.
Yes.
Aaliyah Baker.
Like it's a story where while the team Sonic, Rota, and Amy are underwater, all the other freedom fighters, Sally, Antoine, Tails, and Nicole, which I believe they left Cream and Big, who's now part of
Cream, Big, and Bunny are all on the ship.
Ship.
Cheese.
I like how Big is part of the team now. That's kind of I don't know why.
I like before the whole Worlds Collide, they had Team Fighters with Sonic, Tails, Amy, and then Team Freedom was Rotor, Cream and Cheese, Big, and Froggy, and then Heavy and Bomb too. Yeah, which I kind of hope they.
That's
I like Heavy and Bomb. I hope they kind of bring them back.
I like that there's a bigger cast, and I like that they're using the bigger cast in a smart way.
Mm-hmm. Even Honey the Cat is supposed to be appearing from.
No way!
I thought.
You're lying.
No, I thought on Bumble King somewhere. I don't know if that's confirmed. I don't want to.
Well, Ian
thought Honey was.
Ian has said he doesn't want to spoil everyone that's coming. So possibly, if she does, it won't be a big deal. But
that's who we saw on that cover. That really messed up panda-looking thing. That's going to be Honey the Cat.
And so their mission is they're trying to steal a chaos emerald from Eggman.
Yeah, no, it's in a really pretty mine shaft.
It's in Crystal Cave, which is actually a level from Sonic and the Black Knight.
Really?
Yeah, Crystal Cave.
Which doesn't make any sense because that's set in the Land of Old.
Faraway Avalon is where Lord Hood which that is a level from Sonic and the Black Knight, and that's where he's stationed.
But that's not on Sonic's world.
Shut up.
Neither is Wood Zone.
Well, if you think about it, you read King Arthur books. Are they set in the mythical place of England?
Yeah. England's real.
England's real. So wouldn't you think that Avalon is real in Sonic's world?
No, that's not how it works. Shut up, you!
I don't understand you, sir. Now I disbelieve that England exists because of you, in spite of you. I'm like, you come from a fairyland.
I do,
of,
so
like Peter Pan.
Obey me or I'll have you killed.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said pay me or I'll have you killed. I'm like, that's not how it works.
Obey me.
Oh baby.
Oh baby.
Oh
baby.
Obey me.
Oh baby, I'll have you killed.
Oh baby, I'll have you killed. Is that the last rap that the Knuckles guy did?
That's
before
what
he went to
Herman
jail?
P sang before he was arrested. Oh baby, oh baby. And their thing is like, and kind of like with Sally and kind of like with Sonic and Rota, Sally and Nicole have kind of a little bit of friction.
Yeah.
Right.
Like they find this big cave, and the original plan was let's just blow the crap out of it and steal the emerald. But then they get in there, and Sally's like, this place is too beautiful. We can't.
Well, they were originally going to go in there, get the Chaos Emerald, and leave, but then Sally stopped them all because they want to destroy Eggman's forces and stop him from.
And the thing is,
demolishing
if
Crystal
they
Cave.
take it, they're going to keep mining until it's destroyed.
Right,
So
'cause
they have
Eggman's
to
going
let
to
them know
continue to
that
go
they're
forward.
there. So they follow them out of the cave. I really like the two stories function of it, and the backup I think was really well done. I like that. I like that you can explore different dynamics in both halves of the book, because I really liked there were a couple little bits with Antoine, like in the first bit of this issue where he's like, I'm so brave and cool, and he's like, get out of my hair, you badniks. Like that was one of my favorite bits. And then a couple
Stop
issues,
touching the hair, you annoying pesky pests.
yeah, and then a couple like in the first part he's talking to Big, and there's this really nice exchange where he's like, yeah, if you had any brains. But I don't know, and I like that they're bringing in this Sally as like a preservationist.
You thought they say like perverted. It's like what? Were we reading the same book?
As a preservationist, because I think that's like a big theme from the Saturday morning cartoon, and I think that's a huge aspect of the freedom fighter character.
Well, I think it perfectly sums up because I think the light in the dark ends in part 3. So
Yeah.
I think Waves of Change part 4 would just be that story maybe for the whole book.
No, isn't there a backup single story based on Eggman?
Oh really? Oh cool.
Really, I
I
thought it was
Eggman.
I thought it was
Coming
going to be a backup single story where Antoine and Bunny reconnect after
It
the
could
reboot.
be that. I know there is a backup Eggman single story coming
Okay.
up. Maybe it's not next issue.
But yeah, I think the one that sums it up best about the new plans is when Nicole goes, after all, what's the point of restoring the planet if we can't save the things that make it special?
Well, and that's
I know,
like
right?
the overall theme even for
which-
Waves of Change. It's like trying to help the citizens
I'll
out.
be honest, I thought that message, the way they were talking about it, was a bit heavy-handed in part 2.
Yeah.
Like, I think they spent a bit too much time debating, because this backup story is only like 5 pages, or maybe just only, 5 pages. I felt like they spent like a whole page debating that in like part 2, and I was
Yeah.
just like, we could have cut this down a bit to kind of move on with the story a little bit. Because there's that whole page that was like, we have to save this, we can't. No, we have to. No, we can't. We haven't got. We can't. No, we have to. It's like, okay, we'll do it. You know.
Is it a little strange that Nicole has other senses when she becomes her hollow form? Like, is that a little weird? Because wouldn't you think that her handheld form could do the same things as her hollow form? Because she didn't see everything until she was in the hollow form. Like, that's how she came to realize, like, oh, it is pretty. Let's save it.
Well, I guess like she could see from her monitor, but when she's a hologram, she can like physically move around. And,
I don't know. Is she
She's
still made
only-
of nanobots, or?
No, I don't.
Have they explained
Wait.
that?
Because I mean,
I thought they'd explain
if she
that.
was still made of nanobots, it'd make more sense. And I guess she has to be because she's holding herself.
Yeah, she holds a little thing.
Yeah.
One thing that's nice though is that is Gamma has a nice little cameo. Well,
Yeah.
the E1, the
E100.
E100 robots have a nice little cameo, which is cool. But yeah,
Well, and even doesn't one of the characters say is that, and then they get cut off, like they almost recognize it as
Yeah.
Gamma.
Sadie goes, is that? And then tells Tells goes, and E1000. Oh, they're called E1000 in this series.
I thought they were E100.
No, it's got 1,000 on
Yeah,
it for
1,000.
some
Oh,
reason.
E1, duh. Yeah, E100 was Gamma.
Yeah.
So
It's
they're
part of that
1,000.
series.
Yeah. So
Which I think it's a little sad too. It's like, oh, we remember our friend who we only met once,
and then
and then
killed himself. Oh. Well, that's in the games. I guess in the comic books they didn't. Well, I guess.
that's really confusing because, and there was a mention where it's like, hey, I remember when we were here last, but then I remember not being here for it. Like that just made it too confusing.
They
for
did
me.
that with something that was something very game specific. Where I guess they didn't do it directly like that in the comic book. So that's why it's a bit like.
Yeah.
But
Because the Freedom Fighters had a little bit of a role in the adaptation of Sonic Adventure, but
that's what it was.
Yeah.
That's what it was. It was when it was in when they what's that issue called?
Station Square Rescue.
That's because I think Antoine or Bunny says that like I
Yeah.
remember being here and not. So it's kind of like
Which is like
I think
it's a cool little nod, but I think it was a little
Flashpoint.
not needed. Flashpoint.
consider it a gift.
Yes, consider it a gift.
From
You
Batman.
remember fighting this big water monster
I
with his
know.
gigantic brain.
Which I think at some point they'll probably phase out the I still remember and they'll just drop it completely.
Yeah, they're
I think they already
started-
have.
Yeah.
Which they should do. It's gonna make it a lot less confusing
Yeah.
when they do that. But Waves of Change, I'm enjoying it so far.
I think it's good.
It's good. It's got a lot of nice. It's got lots of nice action. Some cool.
Yeah.
I think some of the it's possibly for my money. It's a bit too spending a bit too much time with these like underwater
Yeah,
characters.
it's a little slow.
It's something that without they use a lot of backstory for these. Like
Yeah.
I could have used with a little less of that more time of these because again we're fairly new into this reboot, and I would have liked a bit more, comic characters rather than just new characters who we probably
Yeah.
won't see again.
And that's
after.
not to say that I don't like Pearly or
They're fine characters.
Cool.
Like they're fine.
Razor.
Yeah,
I like Pearly the best.
my thing is just that.
He's afraid of Chow.
I know that's
Yeah.
kind of funny.
That's great.
There's one. I guess if Waves of Change was a full 20-page, like book per part, because it's a slightly shorter 4 arc story than most of them are.
Well,
I think we could have used those extra pages to kind of helped have more time with the established characters. It would have helped not make it feel so exposition heavy as opposed to just there are a lot of nice little fun bits, moments in it, but like there's a great moment in part 1 where they go into the water and someone's just freaking out.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
it's like-
favorite part in the whole story.
He's like, I'm not afraid of water. I'm fine in water. He's like just like freaking out.
I hate water. I hate water.
Yeah,
I
I know.
hate chaos. He was made of water.
Yeah. Again, it's some really good stuff in it.
Yeah.
I would
See, and it's this new trade format that they're doing that I think we're gonna get.
They haven't
6 issues.
confirmed it yet though, but it's looking that way.
I swear it's going to be 6 issues per trade. It's going to be a $16.99 trade, which is still a great economic value, because most trades of that size are $20.
We did just for reference. We were in a local comic book store, Pac-Man
Yeah.
Comics, Hollywood.
That's a good place. I like to go there.
Go back, right?
Oh yeah.
And Archie recently released their first trade of Afterlife of Archie.
Yeah.
Their awesome Riverdale is infested with zombies story, and I picked up a trade of that, and I picked up a trade of Superior Spider-Man, and they are both the same price, $18, and the Archie trade was like 3 times thicker.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And so Archie they for value for money they're some of the best.
Even like the
Their
silver
Sonic,
one was
their
what,
Sonic,
12?
their Sonic trades are normally only $12, which is just the price of 4 issues.
Yeah.
And for that, you get all 4 issues, and normally, depending on the trade, either at least like 5 to 10 pages of extras, or sometimes whole new stories. We'll get to it in a second, but the saga,
Yeah.
Sonic Saga 5: Evil Reborn has the whole Enerjack, not Enerjack storyline, plus an additional 10-page storyline, and then a bunch of extra stuff as well.
And then it has the Echidna part of the timeline that
Yeah.
was in Super Special, and then it was reprinted
In the encyclopedia. So Archie, damn good value for money.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That is value
They're-
for money.
I think they do a very good job at appeasing the fans
Well,
in
that-
their trading.
well-
They're very responsive. I think.
Ian Flynn has said that the way they mark they they try to keep things as low as possible so more kids can afford it.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, it's a smart thing to do.
Comics, I mean, there
They
are
can't-
a lot of adult like most of the reading audience is adults, but you should still like it was built for kids. You should still appeal to kids because lifelong readers. Lifelong readership is what builds your company up. And I think especially with the Sonic series, Archie is succeeding in that. Where I think DC and Marvel could maybe do a little more in the comic book area. They've got other venues for kids to get into, like cartoons.
I would say with most characters like Batman and like that, like Spider-Man, most kids probably know them through stuff like cartoons and video games and movies.
But you wouldn't pass off Death in the Family to your 5-year-old cousin.
God no, I would pass it off to my 10-year-old.
No, but that's what I'm saying is
No, but
Archie Sonic is a very good all ages book. It's literally all ages because you can read it as a 5-year-old and you can read it as a 45-year-old and still enjoy it.
maybe you'd enjoy it more.
Yeah, I mean, but with a lot of mainstream books, it's geared way more. It's dark and gritty.
And there's so much continuity that you have to keep up
continuity.
Which, to be fair, that was Sonic with pre-Worlds Collide.
Yes,
Sonic was that, you know.
I don't think continuity's the villain here. I I think
how they
maturity.
handle it. I think it's how they handle continuity.
That's a great point. Because you can use continuity as an enticing thing. Like, well, they're talking about things that sound really interesting, so I want to go back and read the catalog.
Sometimes I think, and you know, we've talked about this in previous arcs. Sometimes I think in the Sonic series that continuity got the better of them.
Yeah,
because there are certain I keep going back to it, but Knuckles Returns. If that's the first thing you've ever read, it will not make a bit of damn sense to anyone.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, I think over time, Ian handled it really well when he first got on the book, but over time he got better at it.
He handled it better now because as we're going to come up to both and Evil Reborn and Silver Saga reference things in the past books that I had not read, but I still understood what was going on and I still enjoyed it, which I may have to go back and reread Knuckles Returns now, but I cannot say that for Knuckles Returns. That would just confuse me to no end.
I will say that I reread both of these trades, and I read Silver before Sonic Saga Series number 5, Evil Reborn, and I was like, well, I read this out of order. This is kind of weird to read Silver before.
I'm glad I read Saga first, because, Silver makes sense to me. I get what they're talking about.
Oh, I guess if I didn't know who Enerjack was, this would be really weird.
Yeah. But, Waves of Change. I'm looking forward to Part 4.
Yeah.
And then after that,
which Part 4 has Chaos. That's where he was.
He's in the cover, yeah.
Because he was at the beginning of, which we'll get to, the Great Chaos Caper, coming out of the Master Emerald, where he was actually going down into the ocean to help them.
What do you guys think about this? Because Waves of, the current... Unleashed arc is really tying heavily, at least, into the Knuckles arc. So, and typically, for the most part, Universe has been very separate from the main Sonic title.
Yeah.
Except for, Journey into East and a couple of titles. But I personally really like that, this is a global event, and we're seeing it from different characters' perspectives. But you also, it kind of just ties in. How do you guys feel about that?
I think Ian's handled this great where you could. I can't imagine there's many comic book fans who don't pick up both books.
Yeah.
But if you just got one and not the other, it doesn't. Not reading the other one doesn't hurt it.
Yeah.
It just only if you read both, it just adds to it, which I think is the best way of doing it. If they would have made it so where they're say Worlds Collide, where say Sonic Universe issue 65 is continued in Sonic 283, that would have been a better way to handle it.
I would have hated that.
Which is something that something like DC do that a lot with that
was the 90s. They used to do, I think 90s and 80s they used to do a continuing story in Batman Detective. Batman would continue into Detective, or Action would continue into Adventures of Superman Superman.
They recently did that with their Doom storyline.
Yeah.
That was going over the 4 Superman books. But I think the way it handles now, again, you don't have to read both of them. You just, if you read both, you get just Not a lot more, but like just things make a bit more sense.
Yeah, it's like, oh, hey, Chaos.
Perfect. Exactly, it's perfect.
Right.
But moving on to, I would have to say, great Chaos Caper.
Well, real quick, I do want to say about Waves of Change. As far as for me, that it's my favorite arc since the reboot.
Oh, really? It's just reboot.
I just, like I said, Countdown to Chaos was good, but I was just kind of reminded constantly about the reboot.
Yeah.
Waves, Countdown to Chaos acts more like a prologue to
Yeah,
what the reboot was going to be.
The chase I enjoyed, but it was a lot of video game elements I already knew. I already knew about Professor Pickle, the guy in Manuscript.
The chase
they
isn't an
had
arc.
to do.
The chase
Well,
isn't,
I meant the issues between the 3 issues between Countdown to Chaos and Waves of Change. It was just very much, if you played the video games, you knew about Dark Gaia and Chip and Temples of Gaia, Professor Pickle. So this is the first one where it's unique and kind of stands out from the video games. And I'm kind of starting to feel invested in the comic books. Like, oh, these are characters they're introducing that we probably won't see for a while. That they'll go back to. Like,
Well, they're
that's a good
years.
They're doing what they did. Well, they're kind of doing what Ken Penders did, and the early guys, and Cantervic, and Dasari, like all those guys from back in the day. They're kind of starting what they're doing because it's like, oh, Sega has this world, but we're different from that, so we're going to build our own world to support our own stories.
Right.
And I mean, that's what they did in the 30s and the 40s. You know, way back in the day, your grandpa's day. But that's what they did. And sometimes they went a little too far. But overall, I think a lot of people that were reading at the time and people like me really appreciated that. And that's what Ian's doing.
Yeah, I just like it because it's probably odd to some people that just play the video games. But it's something new, and it's kind of, even like Jennifer Hernandez's artwork, it was very refreshing to me, just because I can see elements of like early Tracy Yardley when he started on the book, and I really think she needs to come back and do more issues. And then Tracy obviously did part 3, which he does an awesome job. And it was good to see him on the main book again.
I don't know why they change artists so much during arcs, because I feel like they've been doing, that's been a theme.
Jennifer was supposed to do part 3 originally, but I'm not sure.
Because I like her art a lot.
Yeah, I really want to see her back.
I'm just a sucker for consistency. I think if there's an arc, I would like the same penciler, inker, and colorist to do all 4 issues. But obviously that doesn't happen.
Yeah. And we'll talk about that again when we get to one of the trades.
Yeah, and to go off what you just said, Bobby, I think Ian did the smart thing by bringing in game elements first and then going into comics.
Yeah.
Because if you would have gone straight back into original, I think that was a smart way for him to like ease people in, like,
well, and even
games,
like attract
games.
All of the fans that they got reading the book that play the video games for Worlds Collide. If they went back to the comic book, more oriented continuity, you would have lost those video game fans that hopped on.
Which to be fair, they kind of did for the first 4 issues. Countdown to Chaos is kind of more comic heavy than game heavy.
Well, I would say the first issue is very comic heavy. The second issue is very comic heavy, but the later 3, you spend the entire time in a zone. I think that really helps. You spend it in a real zone. I only say that the wood zone and Knothole don't really count, but I mean, if you spend your time in like actual zones, I think that really helps elevate the comic exclusive characters for the video game connoisseur. I'm trying to bring up this podcast.
Trying to make it fancy. Which, moving on...
And anytime I talk, I bring it down.
that's my job. Moving on to that would be a very game-heavy arc, which would be The Great Chaos Caper.
Yeah.
Which I would have to say is, even though we're only 3 issues into it, so far it's one of my favourite arcs
I would even go out on a limb and say it will be my favorite arc once it's finished.
I would have to say Great Chaos Caper issue 1 is one of my favourite issues of any comic book ever.
Yes.
It's because the basic story is there's been Knuckles is on Angel Island, and he's accompanied by Relic, the Pika.
Yeah.
New character.
New character based off of a
Yeah, it's Pikachu.
Don't
from
say
Pokemon.
that.
No, I'm
No,
kidding.
it's not.
It's a blue Pikachu.
No,
No.
I'm kidding.
I mean, Ian Flynn has an affinity for big words. Haha. For strange zoology. His internet handle was or is
Bumble King.
no, it's
Oh, yeah,
no, Ian the Potto.
Yes.
Potto.
So the story is
Sorry.
basically trouble has befallen upon Angel Island, and as one of you said earlier, chaos has broken out of the Master Emerald, and he's jumping in to the sea, under the sea.
It
Going
calls to
under the
me.
Under the sea, there'll be no accusations, just friendly crustaceans under the sea. And so he's, I forget, Knuckles is trying to find a guardian.
Yes, the spirit
This-
that can restore the world.
Yes.
From all the world, and he stumbles upon the Chaotix, who have been hired by one Princess Sally.
Mhm.
I forget, is she still a princess?
Yeah, no,
yes,
she
yes.
is.
She's been hired by she's been hired by Princess Sally to find Chaos Emeralds.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so they kind of just decide, let's just team up and do it, whatever, we'll just hang out.
I like the
Budge.
stipulation. It's like, yeah, we were hired. No, Vector. We said that we'd do this because it's going to help save the world. We're going to get a lot of cash for this. I'm just going to get a
Yeah.
sandwich. We're really poor. Please help us.
And there's some good character building moments between them. Like the interaction between Knuckles and
Yeah.
the Chaotix is very
Well, and
very good.
I love the Chaotix dynamic because it's like, Charmy, we have to hang out with Charmy. And then Espio's like, well, would you rather
Well,
feed
no.
him to wolves?
There's a bit where Knuckles just pretty much flat out asks, why do you hang out with him?
Yes.
And like Espio's like, we can't leave him on his own. He's a child. Like,
Yeah.
we have if we don't look after him, no one else will. So like we can't leave.
Is it officially now that he's like an orphan that they're just taking care of?
Maybe. It's like-
Because I mean, they can't establish parents because it's like where are his parents?
Vector and Espio legally adopted Charmy B, and that's why they work together.
He's like it's like you see Vector with a pipe and Espio in an apron, and it's like all 50s and stuff. Like Housemaker.
Leave it to Charmy.
Leave it to Charmy. Mr. Wilson
Starring Charmy B as the Bee.
as the bee.
And like, what's a really cool thing about issue 1 is that they're in Pumpkin Hill, and various things that occur during it.
Yeah.
It's kind of Ian has said, and when it was revealed, I was like, that's freaking genius. It's a slight retelling of the Pumpkin Hill rap song.
A ghost pumpkin soup.
A ghost pumpkin
Yeah.
soup, because like there's a lot of things where like Knuckles is like, the great emerald's power allows me to find the emeralds and stuff.
Can't see a thing.
It's around somewhere. It's
Yeah.
like, that's amazing. And at the same time, over the course of this arc, Knack the Weasel, Bark the Polar Bear, and Bean the Duck.
The Dynamite Duck.
The Dynamite.
Being
Yeah,
the
but
dynamite. Yeah.
well, in the game,
It's
games,
called Dynamite Duck.
in
Oh,
the
yeah,
in the
yeah,
games,
full
he's called
comic.
Bean the Dynamite, but in the comic books, like officially he's just called Bean the Duck, but like they put dynamite in like quotation marks.
Well, just like Knack, I think it was Treasure Team Tango. They referred to him as Knack the Fanged Sniper.
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
incorporate
because
his
like now, because
fighter's name.
officially they have to call him Knack the Weasel, but like I believe is this like little ship called the Fang Sniper? I think
No,
that's
it's
the
called the
Marvelous
Marvelous.
Queen.
Yeah, Marvelous
Yeah.
Queen.
Oh yeah, that's right. And it's because a lot of times what they do in the comic books, they'll be like in a when they first show a character, they'll be like Sonic the Hedgehog, hero of Mobius, like
Right,
Tails,
yeah.
Miles, Prowess, Sonic's best friend, and for Knack it was Knack the Weasel, Fanged Sniper.
Right.
Yeah.
That was a really
yeah.
really nice way of bringing that in. But and so there.
You always like something about Knack's design element that you were like, I don't know if I like this.
Yeah,
too
they
much.
gave him a massive because Knack's design he always had like one fang sticking out. But for some reason, in this like they've had it for a while in Archie, but like his tooth is like massive.
Yeah, and I believe that it originates back with Spaz when Spaz did the cover to like 32, I think.
Yes,
where
where he had
he's-
that giant fang hanging out.
Yeah,
you
and
know?
him
Yeah.
and Sonic are battling on the Marvelous Queen.
Yes,
That's a
yeah,
beautiful
yeah.
cover, but he's got this huge honking
And I'm
tooth.
just like, because it's like because this is based on the games. I'm like I like things to look game like, which is why I have sometimes of Espio, where even though like Chameleon's the horn is on the forehead in his game design, his horn is pretty much acts like a nose. Like it's where his nose a nose
Yeah,
would
it's
be.
down like.
It's down
his
between his
brow
eyes.
line,
Well,
yeah,
like
in
if
between his
it was any other animal, that would be where his nose would be.
Right.
But sometimes in Archie, and even people like Tracy do it sometimes. They put it on in his forehead, which I guess is technically more animal accurate. But his game design is where the nose should be.
Yeah.
And so it's a very small point. And I'm like, it's not where it should be. That's wrong.
I don't know. I think it's fine.
I didn't
Put it on
notice,
his put it on his chin or something.
You're dead to me.
I don't know. And I like the giant honking tooth too.
I like it.
Yeah.
Again, that's the something where like I don't mind it, but I was just like, that ain't, I was just like, okay. That's, because I think that was the first time I'd seen it. So I was like, was that a mistake? I was like, no, he keeps having it. He still got it. I guess that's his
It's
new,
just
his new
grew
design.
since he was in a game. Like it's infected. It's gonna turn yellow pretty soon.
And it's just a big thing where like they start they just have a lot of big punch ups, which is like, there's a nice thing where they have where Bean in this arc is pretty much Deadpool.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, he talks to the audience and
his-
has like epiphanies that are very relevant to
he has
move the story
epiphanies.
on.
He has his for the first like few pages his dialogue balloons are upside down.
Yeah.
I love in part 2. That was like my favorite part so far with Bean,
A
where
big-
his word bubble goes upside down.
My favorite thing is the bit where like beat that basically the Chaotix think that Nax crew have the emerald, and the Nax crew think that the Chaotix have the emerald, and so they go through a few pages of fighting, and Bean's just like, wait a minute, if you think we have it, and we don't, and we think you have it and you don't, why are we fighting? And there's this awesome panel where everyone's just like,
Everybody's just sitting there like, oh.
it's like we've been outsmarted by Bean the Duck. You know?
Well, and I love how Ian writes it because it's kind of like
you of all people,
educational.
you know?
Like it's like he's doing it with this kind of professor cap on, where he's like, if this team thinks said shiny is here, then this team says that said shiny is here, then therefore no party has
The
said
shiny.
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 It's like he says it very eloquently, and it's like, well, that I think makes the bit.
I love Bean the Duck, like
Yeah.
Yes.
because he's Ian's favorite character, and I can completely see why.
Oh, well, yeah, and you can tell because you can tell he has fun writing.
He has the
it.
best dialogue. Like no
Yes.
matter like even Tracy writes him good as well. Like he in Pirate Plunder Panic, like
Yes.
Bean's still one of the best parts in that.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
Bean's-
People were complaining online that we went from Pirate Plunder Panic with Bean and now we're gonna have this arc with Bean. That's a little bit of Bean overexposure, and I'm like, man, as long as it's written well, it shouldn't be a problem, right?
I'm liking it.
Yeah,
I think it's good.
Well, I think we've had 2 arcs since then. If it'd been
We had one arc since in between, didn't we?
Shadowfall.
Is that
the
Yeah,
only
just
one.
Shadowfall.
my memories, I thought we
I
had
think
2.
since Shadowfall, we needed some levity, so we needed to bring the duck back.
Well, again, it's
Yeah.
like Shadowfall want the best, so bring
Yes.
back
Yeah.
what works. Bring back
Well,
Dean.
And Bark, I really like because if you notice his design, he now has his ponytail from Sonic the Fighters.
It does.
Yeah, he's more. He looks closer to what he looks like in Sonic the Fighters.
I think they
No.
work so well as they're almost like the Jan Silent Bob of Sonic
Yeah.
characters. But like he's just doesn't shut up talking about shit, and Beans and Bark's just like.
I want Bark to have one of those Silent Bob
Bob
moments where
moments.
he's very philosophical and then just shuts up for another 100 issues. It's like, wow, where did that come
It
from?
would have been funny if Bark was the one who was like, "Wait a minute, none of us have it," and it was like, "He spoke! Oh my god!"
Yeah.
But then
I will say I also like Bark because Ian's doing this whole hidden morality in this very silent brawler character.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like you get hints of I'm not really okay with this, and next like shut up, we're villains, and it's like I don't know.
Yeah, there's a moment where I forget the exact, but like there's a moment where like Bark just kind of looks very mournful. I think when they're
Yeah.
flying away, he just looks very mournful, which is I like that. It's cool. And then
And I mean it's great depth to these characters. I mean, and you wouldn't be like, oh, Sonic comic, these characters are very deep.
well,
It's
you
like, well, you know.
you wouldn't be like, hey, a comic featuring that stupid duck and polar bear from that one Sonic fighting game that's terrible would be good characters in a book.
Yeah,
you know? But, like they're amazing.
Yeah.
And then well, the big thing is that because again the thing about the Archie book is that the front covers, the solicitations for issues go up like months in advance.
Yeah.
And so we saw that like Chip was going to be a big part of it, and that turns out being the the Guardian that Knuckles is looking for.
Yes, which in part 1, I assume that the one who told Knuckles about that was Tikal.
Yes, but I don't know why we don't get to see her. Why don't we get to see her? Is it a Sega mandate?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Because, I mean, there are rumors that it's like, oh, you can't... What? Why can't we see Tikal?
I've heard that certain characters, like possibly like Mephiles, Eggman, Nega...
But those I can understand.
Yeah, I want Mephiles.
Mephiles,
like
he's
Mephiles.
dead. He's technically dead. He doesn't exist, doesn't, right?
Yeah, in the encyclopedia, it said that he exists in the void left behind in the 06 timeline that was wiped away. That he's still there.
Really?
Because they were, before the reboot, going to bring in Mephiles.
What?
I thought.
Ian's been saying for a while that, like, the two things he wanted to bring in from 06 was Silver, which he did, and Mephiles.
Right.
He's been saying that for a while, that Mephiles
And he was in
something.
the encyclopedia, and they said that he still did exist.
Well, whatever plans he had for Mephiles, I'm fairly certain thrown out the window. Because he said, like, I've heard him say that every plan he had for the book pre-reboot, thrown out the window.
Well, also,
no matter what it was. No matter
also,
if it...
at this point, post-reboot, every single Sonic game has happened, except for Unleashed, which is happening now.
Right.
And
Lost World, and Chronicles.
And all the Sonic versus Mario Olympic games. Probably.
They're still coming.
They're still coming?
Issue 300, Sonic versus
Issue
Mario.
300, Sonic versus... they gotta clear it with legal.
That'd be amazing.
It's gonna be Mario instead of Mario.
Mario and Sonic.
Sonic.
But
hey Sonic, you want to play in the Olympics? Sure, Mario.
Mario.
Mario. It's a giant that game you play, the memory game.
The memory. But yeah, they meet Chip, and then wackiness ensues.
Well, remember, they take a dive into Aquatic Mine.
I'm loving this book. Again, I'm really looking forward to Great Cascaper Part 4. That's the book I'm most looking forward to getting next month. It's
and basically they're in Aquatic Mine. You know, they're closer to the core of the planet, so the Dark Gaia creatures are coming up from the chasm, whatever you want to call it, and they have to deal with Dark Titan. Which I love the way that Tracy drew the Dark Titan, because those characters aren't that easy to draw, just because they're not really formed. They're like in the game.
Well, they're kind of gaseous, aren't they?
Well, yeah, they don't really have
they're very fluid.
Yeah, if you look at them up close, they're very fluid. They don't have like solid lines or a solid form most times.
I'm liking it.
In Marab. God, I feel like the last part of that city's name is like not safe for children, because I want to say Meropis.
Let's have a look.
Please, Ian Flynn, write how we're supposed to say this, or call it Meropolis.
Use Shrine. No, that's not it.
Eusebis.
Stop picking names. This is a comic book for children.
Because it's Meropis.
Meropis.
Yeah, it's Meropis.
Meropis.
Ian, what's wrong with you?
It's just like Dr. Fukurokoff.
I love Fukurokoff. I want to see those characters back soon.
Yeah, I think. I mean, they're Sega characters.
While we speak, I'm gonna tweet Ian and be like, how do we pronounce this thing?
Yeah.
Are we supposed to say piss? Yeah. But yeah,
because I mean, it's like Metropolis, but with Meropis, it just, the way the word is structured, you kind of have to say piss instead of, like, Metropolis. It just comes like Meropis. Meropis?
I want to say
Meropolis.
Meropolis or something like that. And it's not those.
Meropis.
It's just
Meropis?
Meropis.
Maybe we're overthinking this. Maybe I just overthought it so much. What were we talking about?
Which I love how he incorporated the Dark Guardian already from Unleashed.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. Are all of these Dark Gaia monsters, especially the ones in Waves of Change, are those in the game? Because I don't remember seeing the big guy at the end of this current issue.
The Dark Guardian?
Is that what that is?
Yeah, I think that's supposed to be the boss from Arid Sands, the Dark Guardian.
And I don't remember the worm, the worm
Yeah, those
ocean
were the
swimmy guys.
those eels that would pop out of like the little pools of water,
Okay.
like in arid sands, and they were in a few other levels. They would pop up and shoot energy balls.
So this
at you.
guy with the big knifey thing coming out of his forehead, he's in the game.
Yeah, he looks different. He doesn't have all of his armor, but yeah, he's the Dark Guardian because he has that.
Okay.
He has that battle axe.
Okay, because
So
I mean,
I think it may be like a variant because I know that one was like.
because
drew
I
his
mean,
power from the moon.
I'm fine with them making up Dark Gaia monsters, but I was just curious because I didn't recognize him. It's been a long time since I played Unleashed because I don't have a 360 myself, and I think my game got delisted.
That sucks.
I was like, oh, I'm almost done, and then, and I was like,
God.
oh man, I'm on a tornado level. I don't want to finish this.
Yeah, those levels kind of suck. But yeah. So, next month we're going to get the exciting conclusion of 2 arcs. One I think we enjoyed, and one I think we loved so far. Moving on, I guess quickly, there was also the release, I've said earlier, of 2 graphic novels. We'll start with the Sonic Saga Collection, 5, Evil Reborn. A bit of backstory. It's supposed to come out a while ago.
November
of 2013,
Yeah.
and a lot of people thought, because, with the recent Ken Penders lawsuit, because Enerjax is a big Ken Penders creation.
I love how you say that name. It's just Enerjack, but you say it like a breakfast cereal.
Enerjack.
Enerjax,
I don't
part
know,
of a terrific breakfast.
They're Enerjack!
They're Penders!
They are Penders.
Yeah.
Which is weird because, again, as you said earlier, the solicitations, the original ones, it was called Enerjack Reborn.
Right.
And so a lot of people were like, and then once they started saying that the name was changed, some people were like, oh no, they're going to change the content? What's going to happen? I don't know.
I said I was going to go and look through the issues and try and see if anything was changed, but I read it, and I didn't compare or anything, but it looks very, very intact.
Yeah, I flipped through the graphic novel. I haven't read it yet. But I didn't notice, Lianda was still called Lianda. Julie Sue was still there.
They say
still had his
Albion a lot, and that's one thing that in the reprinted issues, in the magazine, whenever they say Albion, they'd rewrite it as the Echidna Homeland. So I think if you can say Albion, I think I'm saying that right. You can pretty much do anything else.
Well, I believe, wasn't it part of the law? The part of the condition of the lawsuit was that they could reprint past stuff, but they couldn't make any new content with those characters.
Yeah, no new content. I believe another thing about the lawsuit was that they had to give credit to Ken Penders for the things that he created,
and they don't, and I'm very happy about that.
I think it's just if he wrote for a story or provided artwork, they have to give him credit, and he has to be on the front of the book. Since he didn't directly provide anything for that, I think that's why.
I am fairly certain that he has said that they are supposed to do how in Superman it's created by Schuster and Siegel. Superman created by Schuster and Siegel, or Batman created by Bob Kane. They have to do that for Enerjack. Concept by Ken Penders, or Lianda created by Ken Penders.
I'm glad they don't though, because that's stupid. It's dumb. It's completely idiotic, and I'm glad I'm glad he gets no credit for it. He doesn't deserve it.
Yeah. Well, even the name of the Echidna Homeland, that's the name of a setting in Fable. I mean, that's not that's not.
But I mean, in that context. I think they were worried, and I think that's why they pulled it in the first place.
Right.
But maybe that's why. Because apparently, Penders has said on Twitter numerous times that he and Archie are now on good terms.
Yeah.
So I imagine that's probably why it was delayed. So now I guess they've worked everything out.
Right.
Yeah.
We're now that I guess again we probably won't ever see people like Scourge again, but at least it means that their reprints.
The one
won't be
thing
affected.
I will say about Scourge is that he's on the cover to the next
best of novel.
But it's not approved licensor approval, but I mean that's kind of bizarre, and I think that gives false hope to a lot of people who really like it.
I got all excited, he's actually coming back.
I don't think he's ever going to come back.
No, I don't think he is either.
I mean, I don't think they'd even want to chance that. I mean, even though He's got goateed Knuckles, which I mean,
let's not get into that right now because just that level of hypocrisy just angers me. But get back to Enerjack Returns. Bob, do you want to explain the basic story?
So the basic story, if I remember correctly, Knuckles is going back to Angel Island because he's been gone for a while to check on his dad, Locke, who is the Guardian. And he gets ambushed by the Destructics and handed over to the Dark Legion because here Finitevis has came back and has this whole plot to bring back Enerjack. And he's manipulated everybody. Dimitri, who was the original Enerjack, who fled from Finitevis to warn Sonic and all of them for Enerjack's return. He's manipulated the Dark Legion, who's in a civil war to kind of come to a peaceful agreement.
Yeah.
And here the entire time he was planning on essentially brainwashing Knuckles and channeling Enerjack's spirit through Knuckles to bring him back.
Mm-hmm.
He seduced Knuckles, and he possessed Knuckles and put a spell on him and made him evil and crazy.
Yeah, and then put a spell on the Master Emerald and locked it so that way nobody else could.
The nice thing with that though is that basically pretty much everything what you just said is explained in backups.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so like for the first part of it, it was just like Enerjax has returned. Oh my god, Enerjax has returned. We can't find Knuckles because the point is like Sonic and Tails are trying to find Knuckles, and the Freedom Fighters are just hearing stories that Enerjax is just destroying random places.
Right.
And then it gets to the bit where Sonic and Tails get onto the Angel Island. I think they even get to the Emerald Shrine maybe, but like
they got inside.
Yeah, yes. But Knuckles isn't there.
And here Finitevis was hiding the entire time in there.
I have to ask, was it surprising that Knuckles was Enerjack?
For me, no, because I knew that it was beforehand. It's because this is a pretty old story, and I just
I mean, I can't remember the first time I read it if I was surprised. I don't think I was. I don't know if I was. I can't remember. Yeah.
I because they didn't explain because Knuckles just left. He took the guiding star gem and just left, and that was it. And then all of a sudden, I think it was after House of Cards. At the very end of part 2, Dimitri comes out of nowhere and just tells them that Enerjack is returning.
Which is really, it's like, wait, but you're not an Enerjack? What's going on?
Well, yeah, and I remember seeing that issue, and I was, if memory serves me right, I was pretty surprised. It's like,
I heard it was
holy crap, it's Knuckles.
I heard it was literally, it was originally going to be Remington.
Yes.
Who's my favorite echidna from the created by Ken Penders. Like I think he's the best. I really like that character.
Yeah, I liked him.
Yeah.
I had no idea who he was.
He's that guy with the awesome hair and the
Antoine?
He is Antoine. I miss that's not a wig anymore. Like I loved that was a wig in the old comics.
Antoine wore a wig?
Yes. I think Ian. I think
what?
Yes, I think Ian explained it as Sonic played a prank on Antoine as a kid, and the hair got burnt off or got pulled off or something got messed up with the hair, so he was bald. So he put on a wig.
So Stifley and Cyan.
Yes. So he put on a wig, and every once in a while Sonic would go by and be like, "Boo!" and the wig would pop off, and then eventually it grew back. But I was like, "Oh, that's such a cute little character thing." Antoine's so into himself and kind of self-conscious.
He's so
that
insecure.
He would put a wig. And I mean, I think that was a great character development. I thought that was beautiful.
That's the whole reason why the book was rebooted, so I could just remove that from the canon.
Yes. They just couldn't have that anymore.
We can have NURBS. We can have Bivalve, but we can't have that wig.
That wig's just stupid. But basically, Enerjack comes back and it's Knuckles, and then there's a nice bit where Sonic and Tails are on their way back to because they're on Fulton Island, and they're like, Sonic and Enerjax is attacking the whole city, and Stuck's like, oh shit! So they go back, and there's a nice bit where they before they realize that it's Knuckles, Sonic starts fighting him, and I believe Shadow turns up as well.
Yes, because they get a message out to Gun and Shadow just recently joined Gun and is their best agent. So
I
then he gets
love
deployed.
that that's the reveal for Shadow being a good guy now, or being part of Gun now. It's like, hey, they sent me over here, and it's like, what?
Because the freedom fighters, they're trying to they're using their computer scanners and they get in contact with Rouge. And they're like, Rouge, we've been under attack. And she's like, whatever, I'll speak to Gun. We'll send our best agent.
Yeah.
Relax, guys. Everything's under control.
But I think that was the first time that they kind of mentioned Stormtop Village and Monkey Con, which kind of foreshadowed the whole Iron Dominion thing.
Because, there's a bit where, it says, down on the freedom fighters, are you there? Monkey Con, come in. And,
and they all show up later.
All of those guys eventually showed up.
And it's also great because there's, they develop, those things develop off-screen, too. And it's like,
right.
Okay. I didn't, there is a little bit that I didn't remember from previous volumes. Eggman was at a truce with them, and they he was blocking their outgoing calls to other freedom fighter groups. I don't remember that.
There was a slight. Isn't that in Doesn't it end the last one where they make a slight truce about something?
Yeah, where once they find out that Enerjack is returning, it was like the prologue.
Oh, you're right. I forgot about that.
Eggman. So that's after the whole. I forget what the story was called, where he burns down Knothole and tries to capture everybody in the egg grapes. And,
Eggman Empire?
Yeah, the Eggman Empire. So that's after, and he has the Egg Notulus, and he's trying to download the virus into New Mobotropolis.
I can't believe
Nicole.
That slipped my mind.
And that's when Eggman says that he has incomplete files on Enerjack, so they call a temporary truce and eventually decide to work together to try to stop
There's
Enerjack.
a really nice bit where Enerjack is attacking Knothole, and Eggman comes, pretty much just takes away Enerjack. He's like, he's like, I wouldn't want. He's like, I've taken now. I want you to rebuild your city, so I'll have the pleasure of destroying it. And then this way he goes away, and Sonic's just like, I guess technically he didn't double cross us,
right?
Sonic's like, you know what? We actually came out pretty good that way.
Because even in that issue where they call the truce, I remember it's like Eggman's in the shadows smiling at Sonic. He's going to prepare himself, and Sonic's like, man, I feel dirty. I need a shower.
There's a really nice bit where I think they used it as the back cover for one of the sagas, where it's them shaking hands.
Yeah, that was the cover. Of that issue where they.
It's a really good.
Isn't he crossing his fingers behind his back too?
Yeah. But
I have to say, I love Ian writing Eggman. That's my favorite
awesome.
portrayal.
I'd say the colors writers are a very close second.
Especially in Lost World.
Lost
that was
World,
the one part of the story that I enjoyed, was the way that Eggman.
Yeah, but Ian's Eggman is amazing.
Because it's got the good parts from, I think, all of the Eggman continuities, because it's got the sinisterness of the Saturday morning.
It's the goofiness of the games / well, that's why I like what the current writers in the games do, because Eggman, he's a threat and he does funny things, but he's not a joke he was in say Heroes or Shadow the Hedgehog,
Yeah.
I know you said that, so like, oh god, don't mind me. But yeah, so and then There's lots of nice bits where, and I guess we'll do a lot of the backstory with White Echidna, who ripped off Zachary from STC.
He's my favorite comic exclusive character.
Have you read STC?
He ripped off Dr. Zachary from STC. Not really. But it's very there's an evil White Echidna in STC called Dr. Zachary. Who's
Finitive is better.
Who's part robot like this guy is.
He's not part robot.
He looks part robot.
No, he's just he's mystic. He's not robotic at all. Because the whole point of this thing is getting away from technology, which is a really cool. I think it's a really good plot point, because even though the freedom fighters are fighting against this big looming technic threat, they're still enthralled in technology. Everyone's enthralled in technology, even though they're fighting against this even worse.
The code, which is, they'd be screwed about her.
Yeah, and it's this really interesting, but he's like Ra's al Ghul. He's taking it to the very extreme of
the actual level.
Yeah, and I love too, he incorporates the warp rings into the comic.
Yes.
That's almost like a weapon. Even in Knuckles Returns, he's equally as powerful as Knuckles, but that's how he gets the upper hand.
See, I love the ending of this book. Like
Of
I
this one?
of that story.
Oh, well, of this or Knuckles Returns?
No, of Evil Reborn.
Returns. Which, oh yeah, because there's a bit where it involves Knuckles' father, and I had never seen him in a book before. No idea really who he was. But, do you want to spoil it? It's an old story.
It's way
Yeah,
old.
it's-
So basically, the old thing is that Knuckles has Enerjax because Sonic and Knuckles' girlfriend Lara Sue.
Julie Sue.
Julie
Sue.
Sue. He's dating his daughter.
I wouldn't put it past Pandas. Sonic and Knuckles' girlfriend trying to obviously rescue Knuckles from being Enerjax, and Knuckles' father is like, that boy is a constant disappointment to me for reasons why I don't really explain in this book, but I don't like him that very much. Okay, whatever. And it's like their only plan is they have this weapon which they're going to use, which would destroy Enerjax, which obviously would in turn kill Knuckles. Sonic and Julie Sue not thrilled with this plan, and there's a nice...
I love how Sonic's just smiling the whole time. He's like, "Oh,
He
I'll go
doesn't-
along with
yeah,
it."
He doesn't say anything like, "Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll get it for you."
Well, no,
problem.
there's a bit where like he says that, and Julie was like, "What? How dare you say this?" I'm like, come on, Sonic, where going? He's like, "Actually, I'm kind of into this plan. You know, why not? Let's have a look." There's a bit where it felt to me like a bit of an odd detour, where they bring in Scourge and the Destructix.
Well, the interesting thing about that is back in Birthday Bash,
Which they haven't released in trade.
Which I hate. It makes no sense.
Yes.
Like, I wish they would have bumped it up like to $16.99 and put those 2 issues in, because those, I love those. That's a really fun intro story if you're trying to get into Sonic or getting into the old continuity. That's a really good way to get in.
right?
That just speeds
I
up the
haven't
pace.
read it. I want to read it.
It's
Well,
really good.
And that element, it goes back to Birthday Bash when Scourge and Rouge were saved by Finitevis, who had this plan even back then, even when he was in the Dark Legion and posed as a high-ranking Legionnaire. And then obviously Rouge didn't agree with Finitevis or Scourge, and then it was revealed Fiona was cheating on Sonic with Scourge, so then she went with him. And it explains how he saved the Destructix when Mogul abandoned them. So
Yeah.
that's where they come in, because they've been kind of established here and there as his like personal army to help him carry this out.
It just it's a nice little fight scene, but it just, again, maybe just because I'm not fully aware of who these characters are, to me it just kind of felt like padding.
They're kind of like
let's just pad out these 3 pages with a fight scene.
Well,
you know?
even then, I think it's fairly well explained that they're a mercenary team
They're-
that is
they're-
hired to protect this thing.
they're hired. Their plan is pretty much to destroy the weapon that would be used to destroy Enerjax. And then there's a nice bit where Sonic just does that anyway. It's like, I'm not going to let you kill Knuckles. And so after that happens, Scourge is like, I wanted to do that, and then they just leave. It's like,
No. He what he says is, well, that was my plan from the beginning. I thought of it first.
Yeah.
And he's
Yes.
very indignant about it. He's like, well, I'm better than you.
And then they just leave.
Yeah.
And then it comes up with like there's this thing where Sonic's plan is just to turn. It's this great thing where it's like Sonic's plan is to turn super, and in his own words, I'm gonna do what I did with. He goes to Knuckles. Knuckles, I'm gonna do to you what I did to Perfect Chaos. I'm gonna beat the evil out of you. that's such like a Sonic idea.
Yeah.
I'm gonna beat the crap out of you and to make you nice again. That's amazing. That's some nice. That's probably one of my favorite fights in the book. Like Super Sonic versus Enerjax Knuckles. It's a really cool fight.
Well, and even it opens up with the giant explosion. It's like, oh, that's how Shrine Isle came to be. It was the Master Emerald Shrine, and it just basically blew apart, and now it's just a floating piece of rock that the Master Emerald's on. Master Emerald's on, like in the video games now.
Which, I like that. That's cool. And then the basic thing is that to harness the power of the basic plan to free Knuckles is someone who's in tune with the Emerald has to kind of sacrifice themselves to kind of use their power to break free. And originally, Captain Ant-Man,
Archimedes.
Archimedes is like, I'll do it, because like he's like, Archimedes, this is something I didn't understand. Loki, that was his name. Locke is pretty much blames Knuckles for this. For reasons I don't understand. Like, this is his fault. He didn't do his job properly.
Well, basically, Knuckles left Angel Island, and way back in the Return to Angel Island story, before Ian Flynn.
Well, and if you read Ken Pender's Knuckles, if you read the entire thing, it's a really nice ending, because all of Knuckles' life, his father has been messing with him. He left him as a child in the middle of the woods to fend for himself and to learn and become a man. Like, as a child. He experimented on him as a baby. He did these awful, awful things that anybody would look at and be like, yeah, you're kind of a crappy dad. And, I mean, I think that this was the perfect ending where it was like, you know what? I'm not a great dad, and I've been blaming my son for months for doing something that really I shouldn't have expected him to do, because I really haven't done what my responsibility as a father has been. And, you know, throughout the arc, you've got people being like Archimedes, like, yeah, we failed him. You better come to the realization quick about that. And Julius Soon's like, yeah, you did. And so I think it's a beautiful point where he's like, you know what, I did. This is what I should do. This is my this is me being a father to my son.
Which is, again, because Archimedes was the one who was going to sacrifice himself. But Love was like, no, he's my boy. It's my responsibility. And again, this is my first book with this character. Didn't know too much about him, but I like that. I like that, even though you could kind of see that coming a mile away, maybe. But, like, I like that. I like the idea. Like, he sacrifices himself. He finally steps up and is a dad. You know, it's
I almost cried. Like, I don't remember, like, it's been years, but I started tearing up during it, and it's like, oh. It was like, that's a really nice moment.
It's again, not knowing the person, I wasn't that emotionally involved. It was just a good idea. So I was like, I like that. It was good stuff.
And this is actually one of the points where, if you go back in the day, Ken Penders, like, was raving against Ian Flynn because of this, because he wrote a death scene for Locke years ago, during 25 years later, which I reread because I wanted to reread it because I just read this and I remembered it, and this is a better death scene because it's not.
Ian's a better writer than Ken's, of course,
and you know that's why, because Ken Penders, there's nothing wrong with what he did. What he did was a nice tribute to his father, where it was like, you know, not everyone goes and dies in a big, you know, ball of fire and stuff like this. Fine, so it was like, oh, his dad is dying in a hospital bed, and it's going to take a while, and it's like this automatic regret that Knuckles feels, like, oh no, my dad, I'm so sad about my dad, but it's like, you should be kind of mad at your dad because he's been a terrible dad and all this. And it's a lot of text. It's just a lot of text and a lot of inner monologue, which is not always the best way to convey a story like that.
I'd be like that. I mean, like, that's a perfectly valid thing.
Yeah.
I would argue, and, you know, people can say I'm wrong about this, but a children's book like Sonic maybe shouldn't have something that adult.
Yeah.
For a character's death. There's something similar with Antoine's
death.
Oh, yes.
I think that was done way better, though.
That was because that was only a few pages.
Yeah.
And like,
this was like 15 pages. It was like half the book.
Story. Yeah,
it was like half the book. Like, the cover story was.
Like, you know, again, I do agree with Pennant about that. Not every character has to die in a sacrifice, because if everyone does that, it gets predictable and boring. So I agree with him on that regard, but I don't know, just like so generally, I'm not saying that the Sonic book shouldn't deal with things like character deaths, but like, I'm saying, like, just maybe for a children's franchise like this, having someone slowly die in a hospital bed isn't exactly what kid, you know. Again, people could disagree with that.
I honestly, I think the Antoine point is really great, because that was a really well done, concise story that was like, it was more dialogue than monologue, and I think it came across a lot better because you had a lot more emotion through visual storytelling. And I think that Ken Penders' story could have benefited from that, instead of, like, some of the pages felt like walls of text.
And I mean, not that it's a bad thing, but a lot of Ken's stuff felt that way. Even when I started reading the comic, at a young age, I was very much, get on with it. I didn't really understand everything that characters were saying. It was a lot of dialogue. And I mean, it wasn't a bad thing, but when I was younger, I just wanted to see a little bit more. I was almost bored.
So that's why I would argue, again, I'm not saying that children's comics shouldn't be for all ages. I'm saying again, I'm not saying you know you can't do it, but
Right.
maybe you should tailor your storytelling to the market.
Yeah.
Because this is primarily marketed towards children, giant monologues, which I do think Arc 1 of Worlds Collide, the first 2 issues suffer from this a bit, which is very dialogue and text heavy.
Yeah.
Where like there's certain pages in like the certain issues, like the first few pages of like Wily and Eggman, where like there's virtually no artwork. They were like Eggman and Wily in the middle, like they're surrounded by like dialogue balloons.
Yeah.
Which I get that, which I get you need that to convey the story, because Worlds Collide you have to get all of this, like where are we, who's doing what now. I get that you need to know that, but sometimes again like maybe don't throw too much dialogue at a primarily children.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not opposed to like monologues in comics.
I-
I'm just
I-
saying
again, likewise, yeah.
it's a visual medium, and I mean, yes, reading is a visual action, but I mean, you've got an artist too, and I mean, it's better to utilize them than be like, oh, just write a lot.
Anything that's a visual medium. I mean, maybe comics not less so than say like a cartoon or a movie, but like sometimes it's better to show, not tell.
That's true. In comics, it's absolutely true.
I mean, obviously, it's easier to convey something like that in like a fully formed movie, and animation, or TV show. But like, even still, you know,
if you have a good enough artist that you put your trust into, and that's what the collaborative process is. You put your trust into another person to forward your work. Yeah.
Yeah. So
another thing about that is I think that how Ian did it leads better to character development on Knuckles' part. Knuckles doesn't get that goodbye. Not
which is
very
more dramatic.
Not very many, like not everyone gets that goodbye, and like he misses that death. He misses his father finally stepping up for him, and I think and he was going to do things with that in continuity, and he played with it in Knuckles Returns a little, I think. But I think that's
this directly leads, because there's at the end of it there's like a side story that happened I think 2 issues later, and then at the end of that it says like this is continued in Knuckles Returns, you know, buy trade paperback, plug, you know.
Well, and you know the whole endangered species arc was then, you know, after a follow up to Knuckles Returns, and then I think Tevis was supposed to be a part of like it was leading up to a lot of Knuckles centric stories.
I feel like
Milestone.
that story, what was it again?
Endangered Species.
Endangered Species was going to be the ending point of Knuckles coming to terms with his father's death and the whole Enerjack thing. Like I feel like that was going to be the book end of it.
However, there was still Finitevis out there who escaped.
Yes.
So, which I kind of got, he was supposed to be more of a recurring, like, Eggman is the Sonic.
Finitevis he was going to have
a
bigger role.
But yeah, that was supposed to be, like, the end of that whole thing.
Yeah, which, I mean, Finitevis, I was an excellent character that I think...
Douglas Ackley's better. Fight me IRL.
I you know, if you were... I'm standing right here. If you wanted to start something, I guess come at me, bro.
Okay.
Get on my level.
Ow.
Oh my gosh, my eyes.
I claim victory.
My pancreas.
And the winner is... Gareth.
You're right. In your face. So,
Dang it.
So I mean, I like this on if I was to rank all of the because of the 5 saga books so far,
yeah.
I'd probably rank this third
Ooh.
after Eggman Empire and House of Cards.
I like that's impressive to me, because I thought for sure that the whole Enerjack thing would have really bit you in the butt.
Yeah, I thought you would think of it like Knuckles Returns.
Because one of the things about you is like you'll read a book and it's like I don't understand any of this. I don't like these characters.
The thing is like I have no problem with continuity, but it's something Stan Lee. It's something that a lot of modern comics don't do very well. Stan Lee always said every comic book is somebody's first.
Yeah.
So you should write it in a way, not be redundant with it, but you should try and write it in a way where
it's accessible.
Exactly, which sometimes, and Knuckles Returns is not accessible.
Yes.
You know, sometimes...
Well, I'm pretty sure, doesn't it open up with general
I think
Bomb
it does
Striker
start
and Cat
with
Weasel
Von Stryker.
That's like,
with the dingoes.
Jeez,
and the
man,
Sandoctopus.
Cat Weasel.
I know. But
That's
like,
like, holy moly! I haven't seen him since the actual Knuckles series.
the thing of
That was his last appearance, actually.
the thing that makes this not as confusing as some of the other ones is the backups, where it gives you much needed backstory, and also just in terms of really, this is a bit more because really all you need to know is that Enerjax just basically just Knuckles has been corrupted. He's evil.
Yeah.
Like even without knowing the full
It's essentially
backstory,
Parallax.
it's pretty much just like Knuckles has been turned evil by White Knuckles. Knuckles' father, Old Knuckles, not too happy. Old Knuckles sacrifices himself to save Knuckles from evil White Knuckles. That's pretty much how I view this book.
Evil White Knuckles is just something that, for some reason, bothers me. But I'll roll with it. You were saying also that you thought you might prefer the backups to be all collected at the
I
end?
thought because it's I know because the way it's written is like the first is kind of like Waves of Change and Into the Dark. It's like 15 pages of evil Enerjax Reborn.
Yeah.
5-bit backup and the backup in each because it's a 4-issue arc. The backup for each issue is like shows some bit of backstory about what happened. Like the backup for issue 1 shows Knuckles being attacked by the Destructix and being corrupted. And stuff
so you're
stuff.
saying like put all of the backups like
At
together?
I would have just because I would have preferred it to keep the flow of Enerjax Reborn going. Because otherwise it's like because say if you are already familiar with this, again this is very small nitpick, but like so I read part 1, like I know this backstory, skip chapter 2. I would have what I would have done I would have like put all of the Enerjax Reborn stories in one chunk and then put the backups at the end, but then you could have included like this at the end of like the page for like chapter 1, put like to find out how this happened, go to page, blah, 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 blah.
Which is another thing that I personally had a problem with, is that they would still keep those little boxes in that are like, oh, this is from last issue, or this is from the first issue of the arc, but they'd be like, hey, remember from chapter 1 of this book? And it's like, yes, I just finished that, please.
Which is something that, like, I get why, when you buy this in issue formats, I get why, because anything that's not this issue, I get that.
Right.
But, for the love of God, edit that out of a trade. And again, like, anything that's referencing something not in this trade, keep that C issue, whatever, C graphic level, whatever.
Yeah.
But don't keep C 2 pages ago for what we're talking about.
Or at least C issue... I don't know how they would
I would
do
just
that.
remove it. I would just remove those boxes and just not keep them in.
But then they would have to... Wouldn't they have to, like, digitally put in, like, whatever was behind that box? You know what I mean?
I guess.
But... Yeah, sometimes it's hard.
Yeah, because then if they remove it, it's not like they still have the original.
Some of those are actually literally written on the page.
Yeah, I guess for some of the older ones, I mean, I would expect for when they start doing trades of the reboot for them not to do that. Hopefully,
that would be nice, I think.
But yeah,
and you're probably gonna have way less of that.
Yeah.
Although a lot of those are boxes that are like, hey, remember when playing Sonic Adventure when this happened? It's like, I don't want to play that again to, or it's like, I can't go out and
Shadow
buy
the
that.
Hedgehog? No, I really didn't want to remember
but,
Shadow.
So, in terms of a saga, like, in terms of, like, ordering it, where would you two put Evil Reborn?
Oh, jeez.
Oh. So there's, House of Cards, Eggman Empire, Darkest Storm, Evil Reborn...
And Order from Chaos.
And Order from Chaos.
Because the first two, they're good arcs, but they're so heavily tied in with pre-Ian storylines. I'm like, I kind of like it, but I still don't really know what's going on.
See, Darkest Storm was what got me back in the comic because I was
It's fun. I
was still buying it, but I was not reading it.
It's fun, but I say this feels more like a complete story.
Yeah.
With someone like Darkest Storm and Order from Chaos, like they trade paperbacks of like 4 issues, but those stories only last like 2 issues, and then they're just like other stories as well.
See, they felt those trades felt really weird because they had a lot of backups and stuff in the that were like really not a part of the story of the story. Like that felt a little weird, but I don't know.
I would probably say that Evil Reborn is my favorite.
Okay.
Of the Sonic. And real quick, when you were flipping through that, I love the part I forget which issue it was in, but when Sonic has all of those nicknames that he's calling
Enerjack, Enertube,
and he finally just stops him and like, are you done yet? And then
Almost.
he goes on like Enertube.
Are you quite
Jumping
finished?
Jacks.
Actually, jumping jack, inner tube, flapjack, interstate, inner jack in the box. And come to think of it, Enerjack sounds like some kind of sports drink.
And then he
Now
just
I'm finished.
throws him away into a wall.
He just throws him into the library.
Yeah, in the library.
That's why I love
I
Ian.
love that part.
That's why I love Ian's Rising. I love that Shadow just gets the crap kicked out of him
Yes.
by Enerjack.
I like how I love when he takes off the bracelets and he's like, "Hey, it's game time now." Nope.
I love how like they're doing that and Sally's like, "Stop! You're gonna destroy the city." But so Jonathan, how about you?
See, and that's a funny thing because Darkest Storm is a really I think that holds a good place in my heart because it's what got me back into the comic.
Yeah.
So because of that, I'm just gonna ignore it. So Eggman Empire would probably be the best, and this would probably be. Like Eggman Empire had like the Bunny Antoine wedding, which is one of my favorite parts in that whole thing.
I really love Eggman Empire. I just like this machine was designed specifically for Sonic, so Tails can destroy it for some reason. So that's I'm a bit like.
I don't know. This might be second.
Like okay, again, I would recommend this even if you haven't read a single book beforehand.
Yes.
The backups do enough to bring you up to speed, and the basic story is pretty simple enough where you can kind of fill in the blanks yourself if you don't know exactly what's going on. So
it's got some entertaining, fun things. Like
it's got really good Tracy art. It's got some really good Tracy art.
Yeah, I love Tracy's art in this book.
I love how like the warp ring we were mentioning earlier. I like that Fenitivis during like the last battle does some interesting things with it. Like he pushes his hand through one of the rings and punches Julie Sue. Like I like some of the neat things that were added to the continuity from this storyline.
I say one of my favourite line that cracked me up. It's a bit where they Sonic and Tails first get to the Emerald Altar, and there's like Sally goes like, "I copied. Did you find Knuckles?" And Sonic just goes, "No, the dork isn't here." That just cracked me up. Like, but yeah, so You Were Reborn, I think we'd all greatly imagine.
It's good.
Not imagine, we'd all greatly recommend.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then moving on, Silver Saga. Kind of ties directly into kind of...
Yeah, it's like I didn't remember how much.
It was weird reading, because I read them right after the other. It was weird going into Silver Saga, just like, this is kind of like the sequel to what we just read, you know?
It's kind of cool it came out on the same day. I didn't realize... It's like, oh, Enerjack is the main focus of both of these.
It's so weird. Like, it was so weird.
Which, do you want to explain the quick story of Silver Saga?
Silver Saga is basically, if you don't know Silver's story in the Archie comic book universe, or past universe, pre-New 252, is Silver is from a wasteland future where he's mentored by Mammoth Mogul and Knuckles' grandson, Edmund?
Yes,
Edmund. And so he goes back in time every once in a while for a jaunt to find a traitor in the Freedom Fighters. The original Freedom Fighters, they're supposedly the traitor. But this story revolves around... he's training with Mogul in the beginning, and he's like, I'll take a little walk over to the floating island, which is not floating anymore because it's a dystopian future. And so he meets up with Edmund, and there's this weird freaking vector glowy guy running around that he starts to fight with, and it's like, there's something up with you! So he follows him to this alternate dimension where a lot of very familiar looking glowy silver weird people exist.
You know what it kind of reminded me of slightly? Worlds Collide, with like the robotic masters.
Yeah.
Roboticized
the
masters.
roboticized masters.
It's kind of like that.
They're kind of like roboticized silver robots of like, with like neon lights and shit. It's
Yeah.
kinda cool.
So essentially it's Silver gets put into this alternate dimension where he meets a new Freedom Fighter group and has to team up and beat this villain who turns out to be evil Enerjack from the future.
What's a nice thing is that this kind of Silver Saga kind of serves as a semi-sequel to both Evil Reborn and 30 Years Later.
Yeah.
Because...
And it's also the story Ken wrote that Dawn penciled that had Janica, whatever, like in the early 100s.
If you notice in there that it's like issue like 93, I think, or like issue 105 or something, some weird or early number, like, okay, flip to this or buy this on the app, it's now available. This actually takes place after, like, this is the earliest seeds of Mobius 25 years later, where this character called Janny Kaw comes back to the past. Janny Kaw looks an awful lot like Lara Sue, but when we see Lara Sue, she never mentions Johnny Kaw at all. So it's just this weird, Janny Kaw comes back to the past and has to stop Remington from killing her dad. And it's like, oh, okay, that was weird. Why did that happen?
Yeah, and then nothing ever came of it.
Yeah.
Ever.
So, and this is a thing with a lot of Ian's arcs. It's fixing or ending stories from past continuity. Like, Saga series was ending stuff seeded from Angel Island and, like, developing... like, putting Knuckles back on the island. It was fulfilling a purpose left over from the Ken Penders era. This is fulfilling a purpose from the Ken Penders era that was just a weird, out of the blue, never, like, doesn't make sense thing. So, yeah, and there's a lot of that in Ian Flynn's work. Like, his first real story
was fixing up all the crap Ken left.
Yeah, it was like, oh, let's kill off these things because they don't really fit right now.
Because they're stupid.
I like the Ancient Walkers. I'm sorry, I like the dinosaur guys.
I like Sir Connery.
You like Sir Connery?
No, I'm kidding.
What the?
You like Sean Connery? Who doesn't?
No,
Horse Connery?
I'm like, what is this horse-headed guy doing in here? And I'm like, what's going on? It's just like what, I was introduced to Locke when he was making out with Rouge. Like,
moving on. Moving on.
Sorry.
Old man Knuckles making out with.
One of the things I think. I mean, Ian's script it's good stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it makes for anyone who dislikes Silver because of 06, read this book. You know, it has a good. I think my favorite thing about this, not put anything to do with Ian's script or Tracy's wonderful penciling, but for the first 3 issues. Ray Dillon's coloring is fantastic.
Yes, he actually also did the future tense backup stories in the main series with Silver.
Oh yeah,
it was 2.
Wasn't that Jamal Pepper's pencils?
Yeah, that was Jamal Pepper's. Where you, for the very first time, you get to see Silver's future.
Yeah,
which I'm just looking at like this because it's set in a dystopian world. So in terms of artwork, this is the darkest. I mean, one of the darkest Sonic stories.
Yeah, and I love the whole Dark Enerjack thing. How he basically captures people, hangs them on his wall as a trophy, and drains the life, like killing them.
Well,
basically.
And if you look at that splash page where he's got everybody hanging up. You look at their eyes. There's no pupils, and they're all red.
Sonic is like front and center, and he looks like a zombie.
It's really creepy.
It's weird because everyone has these like shocked faces. Sonic's expression is just like
looks like he's in pain.
It's like kill me now. It's like it's really dark.
And you can actually from that splash page, what I love, you can see about the characters like. Leon Da looks horrified. Sonic looks like he's in pain. But if you go to like Eggman, Snively just looks terrified.
Yeah,
like he was running for his life or something. And
Shadow looks angry.
Yeah, he's just gritting
so it's
his
like
teeth.
they were frozen in the poses when their soul was extracted.
Even Remington, like it actually showed him extracting his soul. Basically,
I didn't notice that before, but I think that's brilliant in the art that it's
it shows about the character, like how they were acting when they were.
I would love for Raiden to come back and do more. This is probably some of my favorite coloring on any Sonic.
I think it is fantastic.
It's like Tracy's. It's just some of Tracy's best artwork. I mean, because
I agree.
Who's inking that? Amash? Because
Amash,
I think does really good.
Yeah,
because I think that the shapes in the characters are much more 3D. Like they pop out more.
Yeah.
Like because they're so full. and round and nice and plump that it really creates a sort of
also
depth.
just the stuff like there's a lot of like psychic energy and laser beams and like the lightning effects and all that stuff. Like whenever Silver's flying, there's nice effects on that. Just it's very again the it's if you haven't read Evil Reborn, this might be a bit confusing.
I would say so.
And again, like they kind of do a good way of explaining. But I think if I hadn't, I've literally just read Evil Reborn 2 seconds before I started this, I may have been a bit more like, eh? One thing I like though is that this is Enerjax here. It's clearly Knuckles Enerjax, but they don't say Knuckles.
They never say
the word Knuckles. Well, it's hinted at because there's a bit like they never.
Well, he's talking to Remington, and he refers to him as old friend. He does all these things that are like, oh well, it's got to be Knuckles, but they never say it's Knuckles.
And it's a nice little self-contained story. I think this is kind of when Universe is at its best, where it's just literally like you could never read this and it wouldn't affect your understanding of the Archie universe as a whole. But it's not the most self-contained of stories, but it's a damn good read. I would heartily recommend.
I mean, I think for what it is, it's weirdly self-contained, but weirdly relies on continuity a lot. Like it's weird in that way.
Yes. And as far as the characters too, that Dark Mobius Freedom Fighters, are based off of Ian Flynn's fan fiction characters
from Other M.
Yeah,
I read. I read that all the way through.
I heard that when it gets to the point in like issue in part 2 where like you're introduced to them all, or is it part 1? Yeah, in part 2.
Yeah, part 2.
I was looking at them, and to me, it just felt like it was just the teenagers from 30 years later, with Bean and Bark. Because in it you have like Bunny and Antoine's kids, you got like a Fox, Rota's boy, and then like Bean and Bark.
Well, yes, they are because that's how
Silver
they're in.
Silver references 30 later when he says, "Oh, it's you, Laura." And he doesn't say Laura. He gets cut off before he says that.
They are those kids, but they are heavily influenced by Other M. Like if you read Other M, it is a comic book, so there are visuals. Those designs are almost entirely ripped from there.
Well, in the back, there's a feature where they show you, oh, here are these characters' original designs by Ian Flynn.
Yeah. I don't know if those designs are...
Okay, yeah.
I don't know if those are the original designs, because I think Bean...
the original alternate Freedom Fighter designs by writer Ian Flynn, and then there's Tracy's kind of like cleanup of them underneath.
Because I think... Because I know that Bean... Bean has like a skeleton hand in that book. Other M. Which is weird, but they kind of explain it. Kind of.
Other M, I think that might be the original Other M character design because Janet Ka is not up.
Yeah, you're right.
Part, which they had to kind of redesign her anyway to look different than Laura Sue.
Another thing about Other M is that Other M, the plot of it is Knuckles is evil and is a dictator on the floating island and has essentially taken over Mobius from the floating island. And the Freedom Fighters are actually fighting him. And the Freedom Fighters consist of these guys. And some of them are partially roboticized to, give them more powers and things. Sonic, in that, there's a thing where they roboticized his feet, and they all think he's a coward. And then it's like, but no, because the Sonic in that is actually Sonic Prime from the main Archie universe. His brain transplanted in the Other M universe is Sonic. So... yeah, well, this is like the first thing he ever wrote. So.
You can't see me, but I'm making a very disgruntled look on my face with hearing that.
But the whole
Autobot Spike.
It's Autobot Spike. I'm a monster.
His body's damaged. If there was some way we could remove his brain from his body,
and he has all the Chaotix as his underlings, and he calls them prelates. So that's where that is from, the whole prelate thing.
Yeah, that's what all the robot versions were prelates. Yeah, but not knowing that won't affect it. If you're just a fan of the Archie, you like me, you just be like, oh, it's the gang from 30 years later.
But if you like I didn't know that when I first read it, but
Well, see,
when I read Other M, and then I was like, wait a second, that really was very enjoyable
Well,
to
see,
me.
I knew going into it because I think you guys told me that
Yeah.
they were like this was based on his fan fiction, but even knowing it was based on fan fiction, I was still just like, these just look like Archie
See,
characters.
I wouldn't say that it's entirely based on his fan
Well,
fiction. I would say that
elements of his fan fiction.
elements of his fan fiction are put in there because I think he was like, oh, some people still talk to me about this. I'll give this as a little like nod.
Wink and a
to,
nod.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Which
I think is really fun.
I think it's more of an organic way to put his
Yeah.
own stuff in it by making it fit in with the Archie world, as opposed to some of the stuff that Penders did, where he was just like, I'm just going to put my own stuff in here,
Yeah.
and even if it doesn't fit in with this world, who cares? I'm Ken Penders. So yeah, weird tangent there. So I mean, I would recommend, kind of like with Eva Reborn, I would probably rank Silver Saga. Of these 7 universe books, I'd probably rank it somewhere in the middle. It's really, I liked it. It's a bit more self-contained than say some arcs like say Knuckles Returns or Journey to the East. Not as enjoyable as some arcs like Tales Adventure.
Tales Adventure is number 1 for me.
Adventure.
I mean, I don't know. I think I just like Antoine too much because I mean that whole honeymoon thing just puts it like I don't care about the whole Tales plot, whatever. But the honeymoon is just the best thing ever.
For me, it's like that they referenced the margarine scene from Sat AM when Antoine's in prison. I'm like,
Yes.
I love you, Ian. Like, I love you so
See,
much.
I also
my
like
favorite. It hasn't been collected obviously yet. Is Scrambled, because I
Scrambled's
really
good.
I not that Jamal Peppers is bad. I kind of wished it was Tracy just because I like Tracy that much doing the pencils, but it was just that arc with Eggman. I love, like we talked, how Ian writes Eggman and even how he's humming the
end.
Eggman theme song to himself, where he says "Get a load of this" when he goes into his mouth.
My thing
that ending to that arc.
don't ruin
is
it. I want to.
so
I can't wait to read it.
good.
I can't wait to read it.
Eggman when he
Shut
I
up,
know.
because he hasn't
I
read
just
it.
meant at the end when he's standing there and he says what he says. Like, oh, that he's just so awesome.
But yeah, I'd probably rank this probably maybe 3rd or 4th in terms of the arcs. How about you? Of what's been released so far?
Let's see what there's been. Shadow 30, Knuckles,
Journey,
30, Tails,
Treasure,
Treasure Team,
This.
and this one. Out of the ones that have been released, I would probably rank it number 1 for me.
Oh really?
Huh.
Nice.
Because, and I remember too that final page of part 1 with Enerjack. That was the first time in the comic book I got that strong of an urge that I loved that scene so much. I tried to draw it and recreate it myself.
It's a really good image.
I just
It's a
that
really good
the
image.
imagery in that book, and I do like Silver in the comic books. Even he's one of my favorite characters because of the comics, not because of the video games.
I love that one of my favorite things about this image is that one of the captured people is Jet the Hawk for some reason.
Yeah.
It's like why?
No, wait, that's Predator Hawk.
Well, that
Oh,
was-
is it?
Is that?
Yeah, that's one of
Yeah.
the Destructives.
Oh, I was just like, it looks like Jet to me. It's Jet the Hawk.
Yeah, that
Who-
would have been cool.
who-
That's
Right.
funny because Predator Hawk is a big player in Other M.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I kind of wondered why he was in there. Because you had like Naugus and Eggman and Sonic
Predator
and then
Hawk.
Predator Hawk.
I'm just gonna ruin it. I don't care.
Does he rattle your neck?
Predator Hawk is like a politician. Like there's this very the society in Other M is like, oh, Echidna is number 1. Everyone else, blah. And Predator Hawk is a hawk who is a very affluential person in that society, but he's also working as kind of a Batman type character. So he dresses up as Predator Hawk at night and goes and be a superhero.
I am vengeance.
Yeah,
I am the knight.
yeah,
I am Predator Hawk.
essentially. I think I would rank this second behind Tails
Tails.
Adventure because I think even the Tails game means a lot to me because I played that a lot as a kid. Like I like the Game Gear games. I might be weird for that, and I like that Game Gear game.
I think a lot of the love they get is from nostalgia because I didn't play most of them,
Yeah.
and going back to playing them, they're not.
Well, I don't like the ones that were just like the Master System ones or whatever.
On the Game Gear, no, the Master System ones that if you play them on the Master System, they're fun, but
Yeah.
on the Game Gear, they're zoomed in.
Okay,
And so,
yeah,
like-
because I tried to play Sonic 1 and 2 for Game
I
Sonic-
can't get
Sonic-
past level 1.
Sonic
Yeah, I
2,
don't- I
Sonic
didn't
2
really care
is
more.
almost impossible
Yeah.
because the boss is like the screen crunch is stupid.
Yeah,
See-
I did kind of like Sonic Chaos, and especially Triple Trouble.
I love
with
Triple
Mac.
Trouble. I love Chaos. I love those two
Blast
games.
is terrible. Labyrinth is
Yeah,
terrible. Drift
yeah.
1
I
and
made-
2.
Well, I don't think about those.
I made
And
the
like
mistake
Tales
of buying Blast on my 3DS.
Tails Adventure isn't bad. Tails Skyward Sword's kind of crappy though. You die
I've
and
never
you touch
played
the
that.
floor.
Yeah. Real? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
I think-
if you got the hang of it, it wasn't too bad. but it still wasn't great.
One thing I would say that elevates this arc. I think one of the reasons why, and again, nothing against Ian's writing, but one of the things that I love makes this stand out more is the artwork. Again,
Yeah.
Tracy's pencils and this coloring is just
Yeah, everything's so
the
cohesive.
coloring
that-
is so good on this book. Like there's not, it's not.
Well, it's atmosphere. It
It's-
adds the best
Yes.
atmosphere.
It's not at I like how bright and colorful the Sonic book is, but generally speaking, it's not too different. Like because there's different colorists, but generally
Yeah.
it kind of looks the same. This stands out,
Mm-hmm.
and it I would highly recommend just looking at some pages. It's dark. It's like it almost feels like I'm reading like a DC Batman book. Of how
Yeah,
dark
it feels
is.
so. It feels
Like
so
Batman and Green
different.
Lantern had a team up, and this is kind of
Yeah,
like what
I-
it would
I-
be,
yeah.
you know. But I hardly enjoy it. So yeah, I think at the end of this episode, I think everything we're pretty
We
good
had a
about.
good week.
It's
We
just
had a good week.
good weeks.
Yeah.
A lot to talk about next week. Probably next episode probably won't be as long because we won't be reviewing as much content. But I think
Who knows? Maybe we'll get another trade dump.
maybe we'll get 2 trades next week. Which
Well, I think the Worlds Collide trade is supposed, or not Worlds Collide. Countdown to Chaos trade is supposed to be coming out next month. I think.
really?
I think it's supposed to
Yeah, it's
in
supposed to.
quotations,
But let's
but
be
I think
fair,
it was
we've-
bumped up to.
we've had
October.
the books we just talked about. We've had these were supposed to be out months ago.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
I know Sonic Archives. The next Sonic Archives.
sure?
Pretty sure.
I don't really
Because it was supposed to
Yeah,
come
that
out.
one might be. You don't get archives.
Knuckles Archives was supposed to, but then it's not even listed anywhere.
Yeah.
Again.
I can't wait till that's completely collected.
Yeah.
I
was
mean,
it, what 5?
it's gonna be.
Yeah,
it's gonna be what
5.
6 trades altogether.
Yeah, there should only be one more after 5.
Yeah, I
So
like.
are these like the small ones, or are they being?
Yeah, there's a
They're
small
small. They're thicker though, because they're 5 issues instead of the standard 4 for the
How,
archives.
so how many did Knuckles ran what? 30 issues?
32.
32. With the original miniseries,
It would be
was
36.
35.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
35. I forgot that Archie miniseries are 3 issues and not 4 issues like
Yeah.
standard 80s DC.
We were going to also talk about Mega Man, but I think because of talking about whole arcs and 2 graphic novels, we've kind of run over a bit long this week.
Okay.
So what we can do next to our next episode,
Talk about the whole arc.
we can talk about the whole arc of Dawn of X,
Alright.
and then from
And I
then
will have read it by
read
then.
it right in,
Yes.
and then starting from there, then we'll because generally we would just talk about single issues and a book probably. We wouldn't
Right.
do 2 whole arcs and 2 whole books.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
Well, and we even played catch up with the universe and the whole reboot universe of Sonic even.
yeah. So when we get to reviewing Countdown to Chaos trade, we won't have to go into as much depth.
Yeah.
Maybe we can do a bit, but
I don't know.
I don't know.
I do have to say I am looking forward to the new trade structure for the Sonic the Hedgehog because I like you get an arc that's 2 issues or you get a 1-off issue and a 4-issue arc and then another 1 issue. Like I like that 6-issue structure where you've got an arc and then a mini little bit that they're starting to do, and I like that. I enjoy that. I think that's it's fast paced, and then you can get your filler issues out of the way and have them enjoyable, and then have an arc, and then have,
I'm just hoping Archie kind of pick up the pace a bit and get back up to speed with their trades. They need to now.
I'm
the
really
scheduling
hoping.
aspect, even of the comic books. I know that's not anybody who creates the comics responsibility, but it's become very inconsistent. Even like we had both Sonic and Mega Man release on the same day.
It
Which
used to be
shouldn't
you
happen.
got something Sonic almost every week. You got a trade of Sonic, you got an issue of Sonic, you got Sonic Universe, and then you had an off week.
Well,
and then it started
or
again.
even like sometimes there was on the off week a digest or a magazine.
Yes.
Well, no.
Yeah.
In terms of
Quarterly.
books, it normally goes goes like first of the month is Universe,
Right.
next week is Mega Man,
Mm.
following week is main series Sonic, and then you get a breather week, and then it goes blah 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 blah.
See, I will say this: I really wish Sonic Universe was up to date because Universe didn't Universe rebooted, but they're not going to put like Sonic Universe.
There won't be
new
like
Universe
like
trade.
yeah, like Sonic
Yeah.
reboot universe trade. Yeah,
Right.
which. I mean, yeah. Which all we can say is that hopefully they will pick up the pace a bit and hurry up with
Yeah.
these because otherwise they're going to be really behind.
Because I mean, I really wish I would get Knuckles Return, that trade around the same time as Waves of Change, because those stories like that whole Unleashed story arc does connect together, and I think it would be nice.
You mean Chaos Caper?
I said Knuckles
Knuckles
Returns.
Returns.
Oh man, full paw. But yeah, no, because I think the universe is tying a little bit more into the whole Unleashed thing they're going with.
Mm.
So I think it would be a nice thing, but
Maybe.
I
mean,
can't.
yeah, they haven't.
Yeah.
I mean, well, the next universe.
Who are we to talk? I mean,
Yeah, the next universe release is Scourge Lockdown, which I am so looking forward to.
see, that was a really enjoyable arc. If we were talking about Scourge and Scrambled, those would beat Silver Saga. Like, I would say that number 1 would be Tails. Number 2 would be... Oh, that's really
Scrambled.
hard.
I know.
Scrambled or Scourge? I
Scourge.
like Scourge. It might be Scrambled.
Scrambled.
It's Scrambled and then Scourge and then Silver. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to that. So hopefully soon we'll get to talk over that. Maybe if they
Yes.
get them out soon.
And they showed the Super Smash variant covers.
When we have those issues in our hands, we will.
We should
Great.
start on the next one. We should talk about the solicitation.
That's a good idea.
Ooh,
Yeah, because
that's
we
a good
could have
idea.
talked about the solicitation
Well,
this
that's
week.
what-
I haven't actually seen it though.
No, that's
well,
what-
I did briefly.
Yeah,
I'm
and
sorry.
Moss the Sloth. Because I'm excited
Oh.
to see him.
Is that the guy? Is that who you're calling the guy?
No, that's
The
his
weird
name.
panda
I
guy?
read the solicitation, and that's his name.
Moss
that-
the Sloth?
Moss the Sloth. It's who Sonic goes to see to try to find how to control.
Who are the
Werehog.
Sloths from Adventure, or the Sloths from Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog?
Even you can learn something from a sloth.
Yeah, I hope those guys are in the background. That'd be
Yeah, the
great.
one,
That would
the
be
one with like
awesome.
the overly long jump on the Burberry cap. That's what we
Yeah,
need.
that's what we need in the universe.
So I think we have a kind of what we'll do. Starting next episode, we'll start off with upcoming news and solicits,
Mhm.
and then go into reviews.
That sounds like a good plan.
So from this,
I'm glad you thought of it.
Thank you. So from this pilot episode of Sonic Says, I've been Gareth.
I'm Bobby.
I'm Jonathan, and don't do drugs. We should end with a moral. Like, we should end with
it's
a really
Sonic
dumb
Says.
moral.
Yes.
So-
So today's moral is even you can learn something from a
The
sloth.
sloth.
Good night, everybody.
Have a good one.